Chapter 2406. Zhao Fu brought his people to the Great Immortal's Crack and found that there were more people than he had expected. Not only were there a small number of holy sons, but there were also many imperial princes with imperial bloodlines and some princes with royal bloodlines. The holy sons were the highest level and were the most respected existences. The imperial princes were the second level and were the most common existences. The lowest level was the imperial princes, who were the lowest existences. Princes were extremely prestigious in other places, and countless people had to respect and curry favor with them. However, they were the lowest people here. It could be seen how high the level here was. Most of the people here formed small teams and entered the Great Immortal's Crack to explore. Only a small number of experts would choose to go alone. Some people saw Zhao Fu's group and wanted to join Zhao Fu's group. However, Zhao Fu ignored them and flew into the forbidden area. After entering the forbidden area, Zhao Fu sensed a dense wave of immortal qi, which was much denser than the other small cracks. What was even more shocking was that there were many continents floating in the void within the forbidden area. The largest ones were the size of a world, while the smallest ones were the size of an island. There were also spatial cracks around them, and one could see that there was another world inside. Now, Zhao Fu understood why so many people from holy grade factions were willing to explore this place. The continents here were most likely formed when a very large world collided with the upper celestial world. The Great Immortal's Crack was directly connected to the celestial world, and the immortal qi that flowed out was also the purest immortal qi. Even the immortal qi in the half-celestial world was not as pure as this place. The various continents had always been nurtured by the purest immortal qi, and there were naturally many precious treasures and rare beasts. Some powerful people would even specially cultivate here because the immortal qi here was the purest, and they could comprehend some celestial world laws. This would be very helpful for ascending to the celestial world in the future. These reasons made the Great Immortal's Crack a very lively place. Not only were there all sorts of life forms and races, but many holy grade factions would also enter to explore. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and sensed the surrounding void, and he smiled. Because there were many continents here, the void was more unstable than other places. Even though he could not build a teleportation formation, there was a high chance that he could find a suitable place here. Zhao Fu did not linger in the periphery for too long. He brought his men and flew straight into the forbidden area. Because there were too many people exploring the outside of the forbidden area, even if they found a suitable place, it would be useless. At any time, someone could discover and destroy it, so they could only search inside. The Great Immortal's Rift was really huge. Zhao Fu spent 7 to 8 days to reach the inner part, while the smaller ones took 3 to 4 days. This place also had many spatial cracks and turbulent flows. If one wasn't careful, they could fall in and lose their lives. This was also one of the main dangers. Zhao Fu released a formidable power to form a defensive barrier to protect the 3 of them, preventing chaotic streams and cracks from appearing in space and pulling them in. The method of finding it was relatively simple. Zhao Fu and the others each sensed a place and found that the space there was more stable. That place could be used as a place to build a teleportation array. Of course, he tried his best to avoid crowded places and move to more remote places. After arriving at the first continent, Zhao Fu sensed it and found that it was not suitable, so he immediately headed to the next place. However, there were treasures everywhere here. The ordinary weeds were lush green and gave off a gem-like luster. They had the effects of ordinary spirit herbs, and Zhao Fu could not help but feel tempted. When he found a suitable place, he would definitely explore it properly. Continue searching. Not long after, powerful battle ripples spread out. Sensing these ripples, Zhao Fu flew over. He found a group of people fighting, and the ones leading them were 2 holy sons, 1 male and 1 female. The male looked somewhat ugly and wore scale armor, while the female had a ferocious expression and wore clothes made of animal hide. There was dense, immortal qi swirling around the valley on the ground, and faint, immortal light leaked out. There was definitely some treasure inside. Right now, this group of people was most likely fighting over this treasure. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. If there was a treasure, he would be a fool not to give it up. Moreover, Zhao Fu and Qin's levels were relatively low, so any treasure would be useful. Zhao Fu led his people and rushed into the valley, wanting to see what treasures there were. The woman in animal hide coldly harumphed. "You dare to steal this old lady's treasure? You're seeking death." Boom! The woman in animal hide swung her bone club, and a terrifying energy brought with it a wild gale as it ferociously slammed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stretched out a wave of power and sent it into the defensive barrier, causing it to give off a powerful energy that blocked the incoming energy. The ugly young man said furiously, "What treasure is yours? We clearly found that treasure, and yet you came over to steal it. You people from the ancient desolate land are so barbaric and domineering." The woman in animal hide's expression became savage as she turned and swung her bone club, sending out a powerful energy towards the ugly young man. "If this old lady says it's mine, then it's mine. If you scaly people have the ability, come and take it." The ugly young man felt infuriated and exploded out with a massive aura. A massive green pangolin appeared behind him, giving off a massive might and causing the surrounding space to crack. Boom! The ugly young man stabbed out with his spear, causing the green pangolin to shoot out like a cannonball. It was incredibly fast and gave off terrifying power as it rushed towards the woman in animal hide, leaving behind a green trail. The woman in animal hide did not feel any fear at all and sent a massive wave of power into her bone club as she vigorously smashed it forwards. A massive bone snake that gave off a savage and bloodthirsty aura suddenly shot out from the bone club and gave off a powerful aura as it shot forwards like a bolt of lightning. Bang! The green pangolin and bone snake quickly collided, resulting in a massive explosion. An orb of light containing shocking power instantly blasted out, causing the ground, trees, and rocks to collapse. After the shock wave spread out, the ugly young man and the woman in animal hide both took a few steps back. The ugly young man retreated more, and it was evident that the woman in animal hide was stronger. Zhao Fu looked at the two of them and continued to fly towards the valley. This completely infuriated the two people, and the woman in animal hide yelled savagely, "Boy, this old lady is going to kill you, and you dare to steal my treasure?" The ugly young man also rushed toward Zhao Fu and said coldly, "That treasure should belong to me. I won't let you obtain it like this. Also, you're just a measly Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator. You're too bold." Looking at the two people giving off powerful auras, Zhao Fu directly entered Ghost Celestial mode. A massive, ghostly flame erupted around Zhao Fu's body as a ferocious and cold gale blew out, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. The expressions of the two people rushing towards Zhao Fu fell, and they stopped as they looked at Zhao Fu seriously. Chapter 24:07. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would suddenly explode out with such a terrifying aura, causing them to feel an intense sense of danger. Zhao Fu looked at them and said eerily, "I'm taking this thing. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and scram." The people on both sides stopped fighting and looked at Zhao Fu in shock. It was the first time they had seen someone speak to them like this. The woman in beast skin was infuriated and exploded out with a ferocious aura as she rushed at Zhao Fu and yelled, "What are you being so arrogant for, boy? I'll kill you right now." The ugly young man's expression was cold as he also rushed at Zhao Fu. Boom! Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of ghostly chi flowed out, turning into two massive ghostly hands that gave off immense ghostly power and grabbed towards the two people. Bang! The woman in beast skin swung her bone staff, and a massive energy ferociously blasted out, causing the ghostly hands to dissipate into ghostly chi. Shing! The ugly young man vigorously stabbed out with his spear, sending out a shocking energy that pierced through the ghostly hands, causing them to dissipate into ghostly chi. The two people immediately rushed in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's expression did not change much as he gave off massive amounts of ghostly qi, instantly forming 10 or so ghostly hands that gave off eerie power. They gave off shocking auras as they slammed towards the two people. The two people felt quite startled and hurriedly swung their weapons, sending out terrifying energy or spear lights that destroyed most of the ghostly hands, causing them to dissipate into ghostly qi. Bang! Bang! However, the remaining ghostly hands still slammed into the two people's bodies with great power, sending them flying back. The two people were not satisfied after being sent flying and exploded out with even greater power as they rushed at Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as an even greater wave of ghostly qi flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, forming dozens of massive ghostly hands that gave off shocking power as they grabbed towards the two holy sons. The woman furiously sent a massive wave of power into the bone club and continuously swung it. Waves of massive power blasted out, seeming to shatter the space in front of her. The ugly young man continuously stabbed out with the spear in his hand, sending out sharp spear lights that radiated with a terrifying destructive power. Bang, bang, bang. Loud explosions sounded out as the ghostly hands were shattered one by one, turning into large amounts of ghostly qi that spread out and surrounded the surroundings. After destroying the countless ghostly hands, the two holy sons' expressions were cold as they once again rushed at Zhao Fu with great power. Zhao Fu's lips curled into a cold smile as he lightly shouted, "Ghost burial!" A series of mournful howls rang out, and the ghost qi that was spreading out instantly turned into numerous malicious ghosts that let out countless howls and pounced towards the two holy sons like a tidal wave. The two holy sons were alarmed. Because they were too close, they didn't even have time to react before some malicious spirits pounced on them and started biting them. Boom! The two holy sons exploded out with great power and ignited their divine bloodlines. A might that surpassed the heavens and earth and surpassed mortals descended, and countless rays of light shot out in all directions, piercing through the countless incoming ghosts. The many ghosts' bodies were pierced by the rays of light, and they cried out in pain before turning into traces of ghostly qi and dissipating. Swish! Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of the woman. The woman's expression fell, and just as she was about to attack, Zhao Fu ferociously kicked out. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's kick landed on the woman's abdomen, sending her flying back and coughing up a mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu eerily looked at the ugly young man. The ugly young man felt quite startled. Even though he had ignited his divine bloodline and had unparalleled power, he still felt quite afraid of this person. Swish! Zhao Fu's body disappeared and reappeared in front of the ugly young man. The ugly young man sent a wave of power into his spear and vigorously stabbed forwards, sending out a terrifying spear light toward Zhao Fu. Boom! Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of ghostly qi flowed out. Zhao Fu's hand turned into a ghostly hand that gave off terrifying power. It was covered with ghostly runes, and its nails became sharp and long, grabbing the spear. The ugly young man looked quite startled. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would directly grab his spear. Suddenly, the ugly young man felt his hairs stand on end, and his body became icy cold. He looked at Zhao Fu's forehead and felt as if there was an extremely terrifying and eerie ghostly eye staring at him. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out, and before the ugly young man could react, he felt a massive wave of ghostly energy slam into his body, sending him flying back and coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu casually threw away the spear in his hand and said somewhat condescendingly, "You holy sons are very terrifying in the eyes of others and have noble statuses, but in front of me, you're still a bit lacking." The two holy sons' expressions were quite unsightly as they looked at Zhao Fu. If an ordinary person dared to say such arrogant words, they would definitely mock them. However, this person had the strength and right to say such words. Even with their powerful divine bloodlines, They were unable to suppress him in terms of bloodline. Even though he had hidden his bloodline, it was definitely not lower than divine bloodline. The woman in beast hide coldly harumphed. Fine, I'll give up on that thing. Everyone, come with me. The ugly young man and the woman in beast hide, who were slightly stronger than him, chose to take a step back. They did not want to clash head-on with Zhao Fu, and they did not want to continue. They could not die here for a treasure, so they said coldly, "Let's go as well." The two groups of people turned and left, and Zhao Fu did not continue to attack them. They had all retreated, so there was no need for Zhao Fu to waste his strength. Moreover, the consequences of killing these holy sons would be quite severe. Feng Wuyi smiled and said, "Master, you're so powerful." Zhao Fu laughed and brought the two of them down to the valley. Whoosh! After coming to the celestial valley filled with celestial qi, Zhao Fu waved his hand, causing a wild gale to blow away the dense celestial qi, revealing the interior of the valley. At the center of the lush greenery was a small spring. The small spring was only 4 or 5 meters wide, and it continuously gave off clear gurgling sounds. Countless traces of celestial light shone out from within, containing powerful celestial energy. This small spring was a celestial spring, and every drop of spring water contained celestial energy and had many effects. Zhao Fu had already returned to his original appearance, and seeing this celestial spring, he smiled. An ordinary celestial spring like this would not cause the two holy sons to fight over it, as it had a spring pearl. As long as the spring pearl was taken away and placed anywhere, a celestial spring would appear. Because this was a celestial spring, it was best to place it in a place with celestial qi. If it was placed in a place without celestial qi, the effects would not be as good. Chapter 24:08. With this immortal spring, not only could he nurture all types of precious spirit medicines, but he could also pour it on the immortal peach tree to help it grow. Previously, it was said that the immortal peach tree needed something that contained immortal energy in order to grow faster. If they used this immortal water, it would undoubtedly be the best choice. Zhao Fu grabbed at the air with his hand, and a fist-sized jade bead that shone with immortal light appeared. It gave off an attractive force and sucked all of the immortal spring water into it. The bead then flew into Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu held the immortal spring bead and carefully put it away. Normal spring water, such as spirit springs and demonic springs, were very rare, and high-grade immortal springs were even rarer. This treasure was very useful to Zhao Fu, and the battle just then had been worth it. Following this, Zhao Fu led the Spirit Maiden and Feng Wuyi to more secluded areas. He sensed each area to see if they were suitable places to set up spell formations. A few days later, Zhao Fu felt quite strange. This immortal crack seemed like there were places where spell formations could be set up, but Zhao Fu had not found any. Could it be that it was impossible to set up spell formations in cracks? Thinking about it now, it was quite a pity. If he had forcefully stopped Feng Wuyi when she was using Incinerate in all directions, that space would not have been destroyed. Zhao Fu would have been able to set up a spell formation there before subduing Feng Wuyi and making her a guardian beast. That would have been perfect. However, since things had come to this, there was nothing he could do. Feng Wuyi could tell what Zhao Fu was thinking and said apologetically, "Master, I'm sorry. I didn't know that place was so important to you." Zhao Fu chuckled lightly. "Forget it. I made some mistakes at the time." Feng Wuyi smiled happily and leapt into Zhao Fu's arms as she said shyly, "Then, Master, I'll take good care of you later. Thank you for not blaming me." A blush appeared on the Spirit Maiden's face. As the world's consciousness, she had seen Zhao Fu do it with many women before, but it was a different feeling after experiencing it for herself. Zhao Fu smiled and was about to say something when he suddenly sensed many people gathering in front of him. What had happened? Zhao Fu was also curious and flew in that direction. More than an hour later, Zhao Fu saw a group of people surrounding a huge door. This massive door was 100,000 meters tall and looked quite thin. It was white and made of metal, and there were celestial birds, spirit beasts, celestial trees, and celestial flowers carved on it. The door gave off boundless celestial light and gave off a powerful might. Zhao Fu did not know what was going on or why so many people were gathered here. He flew over to a young man with some stubble on his face and asked, "I'm sorry to ask, but why are there so many people gathered here?" The young man was stunned and looked at Zhao Fu strangely. He then smiled and said, "You're not from this place, right? Now is the time for the Immortal Sect Order to be released. Everyone is waiting here for the Immortal Sect Order." Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "Indeed, I'm not from this place, and it's my first time here. May I ask what the Immortal Sect Order is?" The young man smiled as he explained, "Back then, when this great celestial crack appeared, there was a massive faction in the celestial world that used this crack to descend into the mortal world and used heaven-defying power to create this immortal gate. This immortal gate is connected to the celestial world above. As long as the immortal gate is opened, you can step into the celestial world and become a disciple of that massive faction. The immortal gate naturally does not open easily. Only those who pass the test can open the immortal gate. As for what test you need to pass, I'll explain it to you now. Every once in a while, the immortal gate will release countless immortal gate medallions, and those with immortal gate medallions will have the right to participate in the trial. After using the immortal gate medallion, you'll be teleported to the core trial ground of the forbidden area. If you complete the test there or fail the test, you will be teleported back. Under normal circumstances, there will not be much danger, and it will be hundreds of times easier than charging into the depths." Zhao Fu's face was filled with shock. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. There was actually such a massive faction in the celestial world that built the immortal gate here. This was a great temptation to countless people, including the Holy Sons. Under normal circumstances, only celestials had the ability to ascend to the celestial world. It was undoubtedly very difficult for others to enter the celestial world, or even impossible. Even half-immortals would not be able to do it. But now, something that half-immortals could not do could be done by them in one step. Who wouldn't be tempted? Who wouldn't be excited? Although entering the celestial world in one step did not mean becoming an immortal in one step, there were many opportunities in the celestial world, as well as great power. There were all sorts of unimaginable benefits that could allow one to quickly become an immortal. The key was not just entering the celestial world. After entering the celestial world, you would have a powerful backer, which would make things much more convenient for you in the celestial world. You would not be bullied by others, and you would not die without knowing anything. There were many existences in the celestial world that were even more terrifying than immortals. It was very dangerous for mortals to enter the celestial world like this. Zhao Fu smiled and asked in curiosity, "How many people have entered the celestial world?" The young man lightly laughed as he said, "Do you think it's really easy to enter the celestial world through the celestial gate? You're wrong. Their tests are extremely difficult and can only be described as monstrous. Within 10,000 years, only 10 or so people will be able to open the celestial gate, and all of them are peerless geniuses that only appear once in a few thousand years. Now that so many people have gathered here, apart from the Holy Sons with terrifying power, most people want to go in and obtain some benefits. That's the center of the Forbidden Region, and there are all sorts of powerful and shocking treasures there. Moreover, you don't have to worry about any dangers. With the Celestial Gate Medallion, even if you meet a terrifying half-immortal existence, it can quickly teleport you back. Of course, if you offend a celestial existence, you can only wait for death there. However, if you offend an existence of that level, you won't even have the chance to use the Celestial Gate Medallion before dying." Zhao Fu understood and smiled as he said, "Thank you for your answer. When the Celestial Gate Medallion comes out, I'll help you get one." The bearded young man could not help but laugh as he said, "You're only at the Emperor Heaven realm, and you want to go in? You want to fight over the Celestial Gate Medallion with others? And you seem so confident? Let me tell you, there are only 990 Celestial Gate Medallions. Even a peak Emperor Heaven realm person like me wouldn't dare to say such a thing. I'm just going to see if I'm lucky or not. Just watch the show with me." Zhao Fu did not explain anything and smiled as he nodded. He looked at the celestial gate medallion and waited for it to appear. Chapter 2409. Zhao Fu was not interested in entering the celestial gate. His goal was simple, which was to enter the depths of the forbidden area to obtain treasures. Moreover, that place was the center of the crack, and the celestial qi there was extremely dense and pure. If he could find a place to construct formations there, that would be the best choice. Even if he could not find it there, he could always come back here. This time, the main character of the Celestial Gate was not Zhao Fu, but the people standing in front of the Celestial Gate. There were men and women, and they gave off power that surpassed the heavens and earth. They also gave off an extraordinary aura, and in front of them, the holy suns were like stars that did not dare to compete with the moon. Zhao Fu could sense that their power had surpassed the spirit realm and reached the Tao realm. With Zhao Fu's current cultivation, he could at most defeat a void realm expert. If it was a spirit realm expert, Zhao Fu might not be able to defeat them, and if it was a Tao realm expert, he would most likely lose. After all, after breaking through to the Tao realm, one would become a higher being. It could be said that these people were just a step away from higher beings, and some of them could even rival higher beings. Even though no one could compare to Zhao Fu's talent, his cultivation was still too weak, and he could not compare to those Tao realm experts. This was why the main character was not Zhao Fu, as Zhao Fu would have to go around them and would not be able to compete with them for first place. Time gradually passed, and the Celestial Gate gradually gave off a terrifying celestial might that pressed down on the surrounding space. Everyone felt a massive pressure. Boom! Suddenly, a massive explosion sounded out as the Celestial Gate gave off boundless light. White command medallions shot out like rays of light, bringing with them immense power. The holy suns near the Celestial Gate grabbed, and a massive wave of power spread out, grabbing the command medallions. No one dared to fight with them for them. The other command medallions tore through space like rays of light and shot out in all directions. Everyone hurriedly tried to snatch them. Some people directly charged at the command medallions, while others stretched out a hand and gave off a wave of power to grab them. Others naturally would not watch as their command medallions were snatched away, so they also charged over or directly attacked. Bang! Bang! A series of explosions rang out, and the scene immediately descended into chaos. Everyone was fighting over the tokens that had been shot out. As for the successors who had obtained the token, they immediately used the Immortal Gate token, turning into beams of light that shot into the Immortal Gate and disappeared. The bearded youth followed suit and rushed towards an Immortal Sect token. He wanted to snatch it. Zhao Fu, however, stood still. The cross-shaped pupil in his right eye spun rapidly, and the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation spread out. Boom! 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 A massive explosion sounded out as 4 massive vortexes appeared in the sky, giving off boundless eerie, ghostly qi, causing everyone's hairs to stand on end, and a trace of fear appeared in their hearts. Suddenly, massive, ghostly hands stretched out from the vortex, giving off powerful, ghostly power. They grabbed the 4 command medallions before disappearing into the vortex. No one knew what had happened. Who had used those 4 ghostly hands? However, they did not think too much about it and continued to fight over the other command medallions. A while later, those who had obtained a command medallion used it and turned it to a beam of light that shot towards the Immortal Gate. Those who had not obtained a command medallion could only leave in disappointment. The bearded youth had been injured from trying to snatch the command medallion, and his expression was quite dim as he prepared to leave. Zhao Fu smiled as he called out, "Wait, this is for you. This is for you." With that said, she tossed him an object wrapped in cloth. The bearded youth felt quite confused as to what was wrapped in cloth. He then suddenly remembered that Zhao Fu had said that he would help him obtain an Immortal Gate token, and his heart started to beat quickly. He nervously looked around and found that there was no one around. He then carefully opened a corner of the cloth, and a white token giving off a faint light appeared before him. Heavens! It really is an immortal gate token. When did he snatch it? The stubble-bearded young man looked incredibly excited and shocked, and he looked up at Zhao Fu. Just as he was about to thank Zhao Fu, even though he didn't know how Zhao Fu had obtained the Celestial Sect medallion, the fact that Zhao Fu had given him such a precious thing meant that he owed him a great debt of gratitude. However, before the bearded youth could say anything, Zhao Fu and the others used the Immortal Gate token and turned into 3 rays of light that shot into the Immortal Gate token and disappeared. Looking at Zhao Fu's disappearing figure, the bearded youth sighed. He did not know how lucky he had been to meet such a powerful and mysterious person. Zhao Fu and the others came to the depths of the forbidden area and felt dense celestial chi flow towards them. They were surrounded by green mountains, flowers, and trees, giving off spiritual light, and they felt as if they had come to a celestial realm. However, Zhao Fu and the others immediately became careful and hid their auras, as there were many powerful creatures' auras in the surroundings. Even though there were many treasures in the forbidden area, there were also all kinds of powerful creatures. If one accidentally attracted their attention, they might directly attack them, and they could only use the Immortal Gate token to escape. It would be very difficult for a person to escape because the weakest creatures in the depths of the forbidden area were Void Realm creatures. Spirit Realm creatures were everywhere, and there were some higher beings and even celestials. The Immortal Gate tokens test was to kill a certain number of Void Realm creatures before going to a special location to undergo a test. Zhao Fu was mainly here to search for treasures and was not interested in these tests. He did not go to the special location, and he headed outside the trial location. Soon, Zhao Fu found something. He first found 10 or so red and black lingji mushrooms that were 1 meter long growing next to a rotting tree. They gave off a faint medicinal fragrance and could be used to refine World Realm medicinal pills. Even though Zhao Fu was already an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, and World Realm medicinal pills were not very useful to him, lingji mushrooms were incredibly valuable to World Realm cultivators and were incredibly difficult to find. However, it was as if they were free, and there were 10 or so of them growing here. What's more, Zhao Fu found them quite easily after taking a few steps. Apart from these lingji mushrooms, Zhao Fu also found a few celestial grasses that looked like they were carved from jade. They gave off faint celestial light and could help Divine Realm cultivators increase their cultivation. To Divine Realm cultivators, they were quite valuable. Zhao Fu could not help but grin. He had found these things just by walking around. This place was truly a treasure land. Zhao Fu did not let go of these materials. Zhao Fu did not need these materials, but the Qin Empire had only just become a royal kingdom and did not have many foundation or experts, so it desperately needed these materials. Zhao Fu continued onwards. Zhao Fu and the others came to an orchard. There was a tree that was 3 meters tall, had tube-shaped leaves, and both the trunk and leaves were dark yellow. Chapter 24:10. There were fist-sized fruits growing on the trees, emitting a faint, sweet fragrance. There were a lot of fruits, and a 3-meter-tall tree could bear dozens of such fruits. Zhao Fu went up and picked one of the fruits to take a look and found out that it was called the Chongyang fruit. The Chongyang fruit was a rank 6 fruit, and its main function was very powerful. It could help people expel impurities from the body, heal hidden illnesses, improve the body's physique, and increase one's strength. If a person ate this fruit, their body would expel impurities and improve their physique, which would help them break through more easily. This was the biggest effect because cultivators would always encounter difficulties when breaking through, but the Chongyang fruit could help them break through more easily, and the lower the rank, the greater the help. If a rank 1 cultivator ate it, they would definitely break through to rank 2. Rank 2 cultivators would have an 80% chance of breaking through to rank 3, and rank 3 cultivators would have a 60% chance of breaking through to rank 4. If one continued to calculate until rank 6, the effect would become smaller and smaller, and if one surpassed rank 6, it would lose its effect. Also, Healing hidden illnesses was very important because people would get all sorts of illnesses and injuries, and over a long period of time, there would be hidden illnesses. These hidden illnesses were accumulated over a long period of time, and ordinary spirit medicine wouldn't be able to cure them. These hidden illnesses would often cause big problems, and it could even endanger one's life, so spirit medicine that could cure hidden illnesses were very precious. Finally, the increase in strength was a rank 6 fruit, and it contained a large amount of immortal energy. Rank 1 soldiers were too weak, and if they ate it, their bodies would explode and they would die. Only rank 2 soldiers could barely absorb it. If they absorbed the immortal energy from this fruit, the increase in strength would definitely not be small, and it would even allow the soldiers to grasp a bit of immortal energy. Even though there were stage 6 fruits in this place, which were quite low grade, Zhao Fu still felt quite happy when he saw the forest. If he brought these fruits back to Qin and planted them, Qin's soldiers' cultivation speed would be even faster, and their cultivations would catch up to those inner and middle domain powers. They wouldn't have to fear them anymore, and they could even destroy them. The Chongyang fruit was a great help to Qin, so how could Zhao Fu not be happy? However, with such a large orchard, it would take a lot of time for Zhao Fu and the others to dig. Moreover, this was the depths of the forbidden area, so it might be very dangerous. Zhao Fu thought about it and decided to head deeper into the orchard to take a look. There might be a tree king in such a large orchard. If he could subdue this tree king, it would be easier to deal with this orchard. Because Zhao Fu didn't know how powerful the tree king was, if it was extremely terrifying, Zhao Fu would escape first. Zhao Fu didn't forget that this was the depths of the forbidden area, and there were all sorts of terrifying existences here. As such, he didn't bring Feng Wu Yi and the Spirit Maiden with him, and had them wait at the side. Xiao! An air-piercing sound rang out as Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and shot into the depths of the orchard. Soon, Zhao Fu saw the 10,000-meter tall Chongyang tree, which gave off a massive aura. The Chongyang tree sensed that Zhao Fu was flying over and grew an ancient face. Its massive eyes looked at Zhao Fu, and a massive formless might press down on Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's expression froze, and he wanted to turn and run. This might was definitely at the peak of the Tao realm, and it was just a bit away from breaking through to become a higher being. How could Zhao Fu be a match for such a powerful tree spirit? However, it was too late for Zhao Fu to turn and run. That massive might was pressing down on his body, and even though he didn't feel that it was heavy, if he moved, the tree spirit would immediately attack. A trace of a smile appeared on the tree spirit's ancient face as it said, "Little fellow, why have you come here?" Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, the tree spirit was not someone who would attack right away, or else he would have to use all of the Emperor Star's power to escape. In response to the tree spirit's question, Zhao Fu thought about it and answered truthfully, "I wanted a large number of Chongyang trees, so I entered the depths of the forbidden region to subdue Senior. I never thought that Senior would be so powerful, so I was a bit rude." The ancient tree spirit chuckled as he said, "It's fine. If you want a large number of Chongyang trees, I can give them to you, but what are you going to trade for them? You can't just take things from me for free, right?" Zhao Fu felt quite delighted. It would be best if he could trade for what he wanted without any danger. After all, he would not be able to defeat the tree spirit. However, Zhao Fu thought about how powerful the tree spirit was and how he did not have anything that could attract him. If he could not attract him, the tree spirit would naturally not trade. Zhao Fu asked, "What do you need, Senior?" Hearing this, the tree spirit felt quite expectant and said, "I've been stuck at this realm for many years and am just a sliver away from breaking through to the higher being realm. I can tell that you have an extraordinary background and are most likely from a large faction. Can you provide me with something that can help me break through to the higher being realm? I'll be very grateful to you." The tree spirit understood that most of the people in the depths of the forbidden region who were not at the higher being realm were holy sons of large factions. Saint-grade factions like this had many higher beings and half-celestials, and he did not want to offend them. If they had no ill intentions, the tree spirit would not have acted. Moreover, he had been stuck at this cultivation for a long time and needed a fortuitous opportunity. He felt that this fortuitous opportunity was Zhao Fu. Even though he could not sense anything special about Zhao Fu, he could faintly sense a powerful power blocking his senses. The person in front of him was even more terrifying than an ordinary holy sun. That was why the tree spirit did not act and conversed with Zhao Fu in a friendly manner. After listening to the tree spirit, Zhao Fu fell into deep thought. Something that could help someone break through to the higher being realm was extremely rare and precious. How could Zhao Fu have something like that? Seeing the tree spirit's expectant look, Zhao Fu suddenly thought of his blood. It was the rarest blood in the world, and its power was beyond anyone's imagination. It might be able to help the tree spirit break through. Zhao Fu knew how precious his blood was, and he was also worried that the tree spirit would attack him after knowing his identity. For safety's sake, he said, "I have something that might be able to help you, but I can't guarantee that it will be useful. Also, this thing is too precious, so you have to make a contract yourself. You can't attack me, and you can't reveal this thing." The tree spirit was pleasantly surprised. Since Zhao Fu had made it sound so important, it must be something incredible. Moreover, he was only exchanging the Chongyang trees. No matter what Zhao Fu took out, as long as it could help him break through, he would make a profit. "No problem. I'm willing to make a contract. I won't attack you," the tree spirit said with a smile. His body emitted a yellow light, and runes condensed in front of the tree, forming lines of contract text. Chapter 24:11. Zhao Fu looked at the words and nodded. The words of the contract flew into the tree spirit's body. The tree spirit's body glowed with a gray light, and there seemed to be chains twisting around him. Tree spirit's contract was a death contract. If he dared to attack Zhao Fu, the contract would immediately take effect, and he would kill himself. Tree spirit looked at Zhao Fu. Now that he had paid such a heavy price, it was time to see how Zhao Fu would perform. Zhao Fu understood, so he took out a dagger and cut his wrist. Blood flowed out, and it contained many runes. A fragrance like that of a saint-tier spirit herb wafted out, as if it was not something that could be found in the mortal world. Tree spirit looked expectantly at Zhao Fu, but as the blood flowed out, his expression slowly turned to shock. Origin bloodline? Or first-generation origin bloodline? No, this is much more terrifying than ordinary origin bloodlines. Tree spirit had never thought that Zhao Fu would take out such a terrifying thing. This person's identity was far more terrifying than he had imagined, and he was truly lucky to have come across such a great opportunity today. He was only a sliver away from breaking through, and this first-generation origin bloodline was so terrifying that it could definitely help him break through. Thinking about this, tree spirit became excited. Blood continuously flowed out, and under Zhao Fu's control, it formed a ball of blood. Zhao Fu grabbed this ball of blood and threw it towards tree spirit. Tree spirit nervously released his power and caught the ball of blood as he said respectfully, "Thank you, sir." Now, the situation had reversed. It was no longer Zhao Fu being respectful towards tree spirit, but tree spirit being respectful towards Zhao Fu. In tree spirit's heart, Zhao Fu's identity was definitely super terrifying, or else he would not have such a great a bloodline. In front of such a noble person, tree spirit felt that he was inferior to Zhao Fu, and he was someone that he could not even touch, so he was very respectful. Looking at the ball of blood in front of him, tree spirit nervously breathed it into his body. Boom! A rumbling sound echoed in tree spirit's mind. He felt his blood spread through his body. A power that could break the laws of heaven and earth and transcend everything in the world spread out from his body. The invisible wall in front of him slowly crumbled under this force and turned into nothingness. Boom! A shocking explosion once again sounded out as the tree spirit's body gave off boundless yellow light, turning into a ray of light that shot into the sky, forming a massive pillar of yellow light that stood between the heavens and the earth. Terrifying ripples containing massive auras spread out like lightning, and no one could stop them. All of the nearby creatures' expressions changed. The horizon was covered by boundless yellow light, and the aura from that place caused countless creatures to feel as if they had fallen into icy water. Their bodies could not help but tremble. Who is breaking through to become an almighty? Looking at Tree Spirit's 10,000-meter tall body was slowly disintegrating like sand being blown away. A power that surpassed the heavens and earth flowed out, causing the surroundings to become incredibly heavy, making it difficult to breathe. The massive Tree Spirit continuously disintegrated, and in the end, a yellow-robed, yellow-haired, elderly person appeared in the air, giving off the aura of an almighty being. Tree Spirit smiled and felt the power after breaking through, and he felt indescribable joy. After so many years, he had finally broken through. Feeling the joy of breaking through, Tree Spirit's eyes fell on Zhao Fu's body. He flew before Zhao Fu and respectfully bowed, saying, "Thank you for your help, sir." It was all because of Zhao Fu's blood that Tree Spirit was able to break through to the almighty being realm. Without Zhao Fu's blood, he would have been stuck at that cultivation for who knew how long. So he was incredibly grateful to Zhao Fu. At the same time, after absorbing Zhao Fu's blood, the Tree Spirit understood just how powerful Zhao Fu's original source blood was. It was many times better than celestial pills in the celestial world, and it was the most precious and powerful blood in the world. It was impossible for such a person to exist in the mortal world, so Tree Spirit became even more polite to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not expect his blood to be so powerful that it could really help someone break through to the almighty being realm, so he was quite shocked. Looking at Tree Spirit, who was respectfully bowing in front of him, Zhao Fu could not help but want to laugh. He was also quite excited. Tree Spirit was an almighty being, and this was the first time he had ever bowed to him. In the past, he had always been respectful and did not dare to offend him in any way. Now, an existence that he had once looked up to was being respectful to him. How could not feel happy? However, Zhao Fu also understood that Tree Spirit was being so respectful because he was grateful, and also because of Zhao Fu's unknown and terrifying identity. He did not know that Zhao Fu was only the lord of Small Kingdom, so Zhao Fu's identity could not be leaked, or it would be very dangerous. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "There's no need to be so polite. Also, now that you know how powerful my blood is, you can't leak this, or else don't blame me for being impolite." Right now, Zhao Fu was acting courageously as he threatened the almighty being in front of him. Tree Spirit did not suspect him at all, and he instead trusted Zhao Fu even more. He smiled as he said, "Sir, don't worry. You've done me such a great favor, so how could I leak this?" Zhao Fu nodded in satisfaction and said, "Now that I've helped you break through to the almighty being realm, you should give me the item in exchange, right?" Tree Spirit came back to his senses and apologetically smiled as he said, "Sir, please wait for a moment." After saying this, Tree Spirit turned and went to where he had been before. He stretched out a hand, and a yellow light flowed out, forming a square orb of light that slowly flew into the sky from his palm. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the square orb of light exploded out with a massive amount of power, giving off boundless yellow light that illuminated the surroundings and gave off a massive attractive force. The Chongyang trees in the surroundings started to move as if they were alive. Their roots stretched out from the ground and flew into the sky. Countless Chongyang trees flowed into the light orb like a tide, and the trees on the ground kept decreasing. This lasted for about 10 minutes. The originally uncountable number of Chongyang trees had all disappeared, and the place seemed to be empty. The square-shaped light ball in the sky also became a square-shaped yellow crystal. Inside it, there were many very small Heavyyang trees. Tree Spirit reached out his hand, and the crystal flew into his hand. Tree Spirit turned around and smiled as he handed the crystal to Zhao Fu. "Here, These are the Chongyang trees that Sir needs. I'll take them all and give them to Sir. Zhao Fu smiled as he took the crystal and sent his consciousness into it. He found that there were 10 million or so Chongyang fruit trees, and each Chongyang tree could produce dozens of Chongyang fruits. With 10 million Chongyang fruit trees, there would be hundreds of millions of Chongyang fruits, which would be of great help to Great Qin. Chapter 24:12. Just as the matter was settled, Zhao Fu was about to turn and leave. Tree Spirit hurriedly said, "Sir, where are you going? I have nothing to do right now, and this place is filled with danger. I am willing to protect Sir, to repay Sir for your help." However, he had used a tree that was useless to him in exchange for an opportunity to break through to the higher being realm. The Tree Spirit felt that he had taken too much advantage and felt that he had let Zhao Fu down. Moreover, he believed that Zhao Fu's identity was quite terrifying and that he might need Zhao Fu's help in the future. As such, he wanted to curry favor with Zhao Fu and build a better relationship with Zhao Fu, which was why he had offered to protect Zhao Fu. A higher being was willing to be his bodyguard? Zhao Fu was startled, but he was naturally happy that he had not enjoyed such treatment yet. This place was indeed filled with all sorts of dangers, but if he had a higher being as his bodyguard, he would not need to be afraid of most things. Apart from immortals and half-celestials, Zhao Fu would be able to do whatever he wanted here. However, Zhao Fu was worried that his true identity would be exposed and that this tree spirit might kill him. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided to agree. Firstly, having a higher being as his bodyguard was too beneficial, and secondly, Tree Spirit had signed a contract not to harm him. This contract would be very difficult for higher beings to break. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "All right, I accept your protection." Tree Spirit smiled happily. "Thank you, Sir, for giving me this chance. I won't let Sir come to any harm." What Zhao Fu did not know was that his gate token had gained 10 million points. Countless people who had gate tokens were incredibly shocked. Even the Dao Realm experts who had been standing in front of the Gate of Celestial were shocked. Who is this person? Isn't this a bit too terrifying? The Gate of Celestial has only been open for 3 hours, and this person has 10 million points. The second person only has 1 million points. I'm shocked too. 10 million points in one go. Is that killing a higher being? It's impossible for him to have so many points. According to the points obtained from killing or defeating creatures, killing a higher being is indeed 10 million points. That person who defeated a higher being in 3 hours is just too sick. Yeah, why didn't I see him so powerful when we were fighting for the medallions earlier? He's far more terrifying than the prodigy from the Saint's world. He might be able to open the immortal gate this time. Ha ha, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Only a few dozen people will be able to open the immortal gate every 10,000 years. Some people won't even get to see it in their entire lives. If we can see it, we'll be really lucky. Yes, I'm also looking forward to this matter. It would be even better if I could see this expert with my own eyes. In the future, he will definitely shock many half-immortal world. I'm suddenly curious. What's his identity? We know most of the geniuses in the half-immortal world, but there's no such person. It's like he just appeared out of nowhere. That's hard to say. The endless void is boundless, and there are many terrifying people and powers. Who knows what his identity is? It's impossible. The saint-rank prodigies had serious expressions on their faces. Their talents and strength were undoubtedly the best in the entire mortal world. Other than a freak like Zhao Fu, no one else could surpass them. Now they, who were originally proud and arrogant, felt a huge pressure and put away their arrogant attitudes. They also thought that this person was very likely to open the immortal gate. The few saint-rank prodigies came here just to give it a try. They didn't have full confidence in opening the immortal gate, because opening the immortal gate was simply too difficult and there were no rewards. The various saint-rank powers didn't value this immortal gate. Otherwise, according to normal circumstances, countless people would gather to watch the opening of the ruins. Experts from various powers would also descend to see the performance of their own disciples. However, there was no such thing here. You can come and go as you please. They didn't know that Zhao Fu had obtained 10 million points. Even Zhao Fu himself didn't know. Countless people didn't know that the person who had the highest chance of opening the immortal gate had no interest in it. However, there was no use in obtaining so many points. They couldn't exchange them for any rewards at all. Their gazes returned to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled at Tree Spirit in front of him and said, "As a creature of this place, you should know what's good there, right?" Tree Spirit smiled and nodded. "I'll take Lord there right now." Following this, Zhao Fu called over Feng Wuyi and Ling Ji. They knew that a higher being had volunteered to be Zhao Fu's bodyguards, and they looked incredibly shocked. They couldn't help but feel admiration toward Zhao Fu and wondered how Zhao Fu had done it. Seeing that higher being's attitude, it was Zhao Fu who was extremely respectful. Before, the three of them had to be extremely respectful whenever they saw higher beings, but now, the situation was reversed. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Tree Spirit brought Zhao Fu and the others and gave off a higher being's might as they landed on the surface of a lake. Sensing this terrifying power, a massive figure floated up from the bottom of the lake. It was a blue dragon. This divine dragon seemed to be very old, but its body was very strong, its 4 claws were sharp, and its body was covered in dark blue scales. There were 6 sharp horns on its head that were white in color, and the back of its neck and 4 claws were covered in white fur. It gave off a powerful water attribute aura, as well as an extremely terrifying pressure. Its power had reached the peak of the Tao realm. After Tree Spirit floated up, he looked at Tree Spirit in shock and said in an ancient voice, "Old Tree, how did you break through to become a higher being?" Elder Tree Spirit smiled and said with a trace of pride, "Old Dragon, take out all of your good things. I brought you a massive opportunity, which is this lord next to me." Old Water Dragon looked quite confused and did not understand what was going on. However, seeing that Tree Spirit had broken through to become a higher being and was so respectful to an Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator, he felt even more confused. However, he quickly thought of something. Tree Spirit had a good relationship with him, and Tree Spirit had been stuck at the peak of the Tao realm for a long time. Why had he suddenly broken through? And why was he so respectful to an Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator? Combined with Tree Spirit's words, Old Water Dragon was sure that Tree Spirit had broken through because of this young man. Old Water Dragon could not help but feel excited and respectfully said to Zhao Fu, "Sir, this old man is willing to use all of my things in exchange for an opportunity to break through." After saying this, Old Water Dragon waved his claw and a wave of energy spread out, causing piles of materials to appear on the surface of the lake. There were celestial grasses, celestial trees, celestial flowers, ores, weapons, equipment, beast skins, beast horns. Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. Old Water Dragon had collected all sorts of materials, and the celestial light they gave off was quite extraordinary. Chapter 24:13. However, these things would soon belong to him. These countless materials could strengthen Qin's foundation and make Qin even stronger. Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile and said, "I need you to make a contract that you cannot harm me or leak this matter." Hearing Zhao Fu agree, the Old Water Dragon felt quite happy. He finally had a chance to break through. The Old Water Dragon's body gave off countless rays of blue light as lines of contract words appeared. After Zhao Fu looked over them, the contract words fused into the Old Water Dragon's body, forming a formless binding power. After doing all of this, the Old Water Dragon obediently stayed on the surface of the water and looked at Zhao Fu in anticipation. Zhao Fu took out a dagger and once again cut his wrist. Blood slowly flowed out, and a fragrance that surpassed even that of a divine medicine spread out. The Old Water Dragon felt quite startled. Just from this smell, this blood was quite extraordinary and had the power to change one's fate. The Tree Spirit respectfully stood there because he knew how powerful this blood was. His body instinctively felt respect towards it. This blood was not ordinary blood. It was a part of Zhao Fu's origin blood, or else it would not be so powerful. Origin blood was quite important to Zhao Fu, and if he lost too much, it would cause Zhao Fu's power to fall. Under Zhao Fu's control, the blood formed a small orb of blood and flew towards the old water dragon. The old water dragon carefully stretched out a pair of dragon claws and caught the floating ball of blood. Then it opened its big mouth and swallowed the small ball of blood. Boom! A deafening rumble echoed. The old water dragon felt a blood flow through his body, a power that transcended the laws of the world and was not subject to any restrictions erupted. It was not something that could exist in the mortal world. First generation origin bloodline. The old water dragon looked incredibly shocked. He had never thought that a mere Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator would have such a terrifying bloodline. Suddenly, the old water dragon's dragon race bloodline became incredibly excited, as if he was going crazy. His dragon blood became incredibly hot, and his body seemed to be burning. Supreme Dragon Bloodline. The old water dragon looked even more shocked. He had never thought that this blood would be so terrifying, and it even contained the dragon race's supreme bloodline. Roar! Hot blood flowed through his body, and an unimaginably powerful dragon power surged out of his body. The old water dragon raised his head and let out a deafening roar. The roar soared into the sky and crashed into the sky. A terrifying sound wave spread out, causing countless clouds to instantly dissipate. Boom! The old water dragon's body was filled with power as it slammed into the invisible wall in front of the cultivation base. The wall instantly collapsed and dissipated. Boom! A shocking explosion once again sounded out as the old water dragon's body gave off boundless blue light, and it gave off a massive aura as it leapt up from the water and rushed into the sky. It exploded out with its full power, causing an even more powerful blue light to shine in all directions. The entire sky was dyed blue. From afar, a gigantic blue divine dragon could be seen circling in the sky. Waves of frightening ripples were constantly spreading out. Even the heavens and earth seemed to be unable to withstand this power. Space and time seemed to be locked down, and the air became incredibly heavy. All of the creatures nearby sensed a terrifying might and felt immense terror. They lay on the ground, unable to move at all. Who's breaking through to become a higher being? Some creatures had just experienced this power and naturally understood that this might was the ripples of someone breaking through to become a higher being. For two people to become higher beings in such a short period of time, they felt incredibly shocked. The old water dragon spiraling in the sky gave off countless rays of intense blue light, and its body became more and more transparent before condensing into an elderly man. The elderly man had 6 sharp dragon horns on his head, and his face was ruddy. He wore a blue dragon robe and gave off a power that surpassed the heavens and earth, causing all creatures to feel fear. Sensing the higher being's power within his body, the elderly man smiled and looked incredibly excited. He felt the same as Tree Spirit from before. He had finally broken through. He could not help but feel excited and happy. After a while, the old water dragon came back to his senses and flew before Zhao Fu and respectfully bowed as he said, "Thank you, sir. I never thought that you would be the sovereign of the dragon race. It's my honor to meet you." The old water dragon's attitude was even more respectful than Tree Spirit's, because he was not only grateful to Zhao Fu, but also because Zhao Fu had the sovereign bloodline of the dragon race. As a member of the dragon race, he instinctively felt respect towards a bloodline that was far more noble than his, and he acknowledged Zhao Fu even more. Seeing the old water dragon's attitude, Tree Spirit felt quite shocked. He had underestimated Zhao Fu and had never thought that he would be the sovereign of the dragon race. He did not dare to believe just how terrifying his identity was, and he had to do everything he could to curry favor with this person. Perhaps he would receive massive benefits in the future. Seeing the 2 high and mighty higher beings act so respectfully towards him, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "No need to be so polite." The old water dragon raised his head and put down his hands as he looked at Zhao Fu with a smile. Zhao Fu looked at the piles of materials on the lake and stretched out a hand and grabbed at them. The countless materials flooded over and disappeared into the space that Zhao Fu had created for himself. After collecting the materials, Zhao Fu smiled and said to Tree Spirit, "Let's continue." "Yes, sir." Tree Spirit smiled and replied. Seeing that Zhao Fu was about to leave, the old water dragon immediately asked, "Where are you going, sir?" Tree Spirit smiled and said, "Old water dragon, sir has come here to train, and I'm here to protect sir from danger. Are you willing to protect sir? This is a great thing." The old water dragon smiled and bowed to Zhao Fu as he said, "I'm also willing to follow behind sir and protect sir. Please allow me, sir." Another higher being was willing to protect him. This was a good thing, and Zhao Fu naturally would not refuse. He smiled and said, "Sure." Following this, Zhao Fu followed Tree Spirit and flew in another direction. At that moment, Zhao Fu did not know that the Immortal Gate Medallion had gained another 10 million points, bringing his total to 20 million points. The commotion caused by Zhao Fu had not subsided, and now that he had gained another 10 million points, everyone was in an uproar. Heavens, 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 another 10 million points. Just how did he do it? Could it be that he defeated another higher being? But it hasn't even been an hour since he obtained 10 million points. Could it be that he defeated a higher being in an hour? So freakish, too freakish. It's the first time I've seen such a terrifying person. Those divine tier geniuses are all trash, and I wonder just who he is. Chapter 24:14. I'm also curious. Just who is that person? I don't think I've seen him before. I worship him greatly, and he will be my goal in the future. If the first time was a coincidence, then the second time was the same. That person really does have indescribably terrifying power. Otherwise, he would have shaken the entire half-celestial world long ago. I feel that he definitely has the ability to open the gate of celestials. Last time, I felt that it was possible, but this person is too powerful and far surpasses my expectations. He will definitely have shocking performances in the future. Fudge, I almost forgot. This is the first time that such a terrifying person has appeared in this place. This is not a small matter, and the factions will definitely take it seriously. That's right. I feel that this matter is not small at all. If that person can really open the gate of celestials, it will definitely shake the entire world. I'll immediately report this to the factions. The Saint Grade Genius's expressions became quite unsightly. Before, they had only felt a massive pressure, but now they could feel the difference between them and that person. He was far more powerful than them. Even though they did not want to accept this, the truth was right in front of them, and it was difficult for them not to accept it. Who is that person? They did not have the heart to continue with the trial because no matter how many times they defeated creatures to obtain points, they would never be able to surpass that person. That was the feeling that that person gave them. In the past, the people who had opened the gate of celestials had always been the top-ranked faction, but now that that person had appeared, it was impossible for them to be ranked first. This meant that they did not have the right to open the gate of celestials, and no matter how hard they worked, it would all be a waste of effort. As such, they did not have the heart to continue with the trial, and wanted to see just who was so terrifying. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the tree spirit gave off a powerful aura and brought Zhao Fu and the others to a plains. There was a group of half-human, half-wolf monsters on the plains. They were all 5 meters tall and had white wolf heads. They had 2 upturned fangs, and they had powerful human bodies and large wolf tails. There were many of them, in the hundreds, and they gave off powerful auras. All of their cultivation was at the extreme divine realm, and they were only slightly weaker than Zhao Fu's Emperor Heaven realm. If it was Zhao Fu, he would not dare to charge him like this, and he would definitely be attacked by these extreme divine realm monsters. However, things were different now. Zhao Fu had 2 almighty existences by his side. Sensing the might from the 2 higher beings, the monsters' faces became pale, and they knelt to the ground. Their bodies trembled, and they did not dare to offend Zhao Fu and the others. The tree spirit explained with a smile. This is a white spirit werewolf. It collects a type of immortal sky dew from the grasslands. This immortal sky dew is a very precious item with many uses. Zhao Fu nodded lightly. The tree spirit turned to look at the werewolves and said with a thunderous voice, Our esteemed master will not kill you, so don't be afraid. Hand over the immortal sky dew. Hearing this, the wolf men hesitated. The immortal sky dew was something they had spent a great deal of effort to collect, and it was their most important item. Naturally, they were quite hesitant to hand it over. The old water dragon coldly harumphed with a trace of killing intent. Don't seek your own deaths. Hurry up and hand over the celestial nectar, or don't blame me. The wolfmen were so frightened that they did not hesitate anymore. They quickly took out a watermelon-sized clay jar and came before Zhao Fu. They knelt on the ground and handed over the jar with both hands. The tree spirit reached out, and the jar flew into his hand. He then opened the jar and revealed the liquid overflowing with celestial light. He smiled and said, Sir, this is the immortal sky dew. Zhao Fu sensed it and found that it contained very powerful celestial force. It was indeed a precious treasure. He smiled and put the jar away. He smiled and said, Let's continue to the next area. Yes, sir. The tree spirit smiled and led Zhao Fu and the others to the next area. The wolfmen were relieved when they saw Zhao Fu and the others leave. They did not know how terrifying the cloaked person was, but the two almighty experts were so respectful to him that they were like servants. However, it was also an existence that they could not come into contact with. Now that the immortal sky dew they had worked so hard to collect was gone, they could only continue collecting. Fortunately, their lives were saved, so they still had a chance to collect more. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the tree spirit led Zhao Fu and the others to land on a volcano. There was a massive fire rock giant on the volcano. The fire rock giant's body was mainly made of rock, and flames could be seen in the cracks between the rocks. It was currently sleeping on the ground and gave off a searing heat. The old water dragon casually waved his hand, and a massive water ball containing great power hit the fire rock giant's head. The fire rock giant roared and woke up. The tree spirit gave off a massive might that landed on the fire rock giant. The tree spirit coldly said, What are you shouting for? You're disturbing our lord. Sensing this terrifying power, the fire rock giant immediately stopped shouting and knelt on the ground. It looked at Zhao Fu and the others. The tree spirit explained to Zhao Fu, This fire rock contains a type of fire melt iron, which is a godly material for forging weapons. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'll take it. The tree spirit turned to look at the fire rock giant and said, Did you hear that our lord wants your fire melt iron? Hurry up and hand it over to our lord. The fire melt iron was a metal that had been condensed in the fire rock giant's body for many years, and it was very important to the fire rock giant. The fire rock giant did not want to hand it over, but there were two higher beings in front of him, and he was only at the spirit realm. He was not a match for them at all, so he could only hand it over. The fire rock giant seemed to have been bullied and gave a muffled sound. Oh, hand it over immediately. Seeing this, Zhao Fu smiled and said, I can give you a small opportunity. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and condensed an orb of origin energy that gave off rainbow light and a powerful origin energy aura. He tossed it over to the fire rock giant. The fire rock giant could sense how powerful this orb of light was and felt that it would be of great help to him. He happily accepted the orb of light. Following this, a 1-meter wide piece of fire-colored metal that looked like iron or stone floated up from the fire rock giant's chest. The rock giant stretched out a hand and picked up the piece of metal in front of its chest and handed it to Zhao Fu as it smiled and said, Here, my lord, this is high-grade fire melt iron that I condensed. It's much better than ordinary fire melt iron. Zhao Fu looked at the piece of fire melt iron that gave off powerful firepower. If it was used to forge a fire-type weapon, it would be an incredibly powerful weapon. Zhao Fu casually put the piece of fire melt iron away and continued to fly. Chapter 24:15. In the next few days, Zhao Fu felt incredibly good. He could take whatever treasure he wanted. With two higher being existences protecting him, he did not have to worry about any threats. And the creatures that were much more powerful than Zhao Fu did not dare to have any objections. Zhao Fu had obtained countless precious treasures over the past few days, and all of them were of great help to Qin Xin and could greatly increase his strength. Coming to the depths of the forbidden area had been the right decision. At that moment, the old water dragon sensed something and said, "Sir, I can sense a dragon race treasure in that direction, and there are many people fighting over it. Do you want to go and take a look?" Dragon race treasure? Many people fighting over it? Compared to treasures, they were quite good, and Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Everyone gave off powerful auras and flew in that direction. There was a golden crystal floating above the ruins. It was rhombus-shaped and 1 meter long, and there was a golden dragon within it. The crystal gave off boundless light and a massive dragon's might. This crystal was a dragon soul, and it was not an ordinary dragon soul. Its power and bloodline were incredibly powerful, and the aura it gave off was not any weaker than higher beings. A dragon soul was something that was condensed after a dragon died, and it would lose much of its power. However, the aura it gave off was not any weaker than a higher being's, which meant that the owner of the dragon soul was an incredibly powerful existence. This was definitely an incredibly powerful and rare treasure, so it was not just ordinary people fighting over it. Even holy children joined in. Bang! 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 Explosions continuously sounded out as terrifying shock waves continuously spread out, forming wild gales that caused the heavens and earth to dim and sand to fly everywhere. This was especially so for the holy children's terrifying attacks. They seemed to be able to easily destroy the heavens and earth, creating a terrifying scene. The ordinary people were able to block a few attacks at first, but they could not hold on for too long. Some people were directly killed, scaring the ordinary people out of the battle and not daring to fight with the holy children for treasures. They retreated to the distance and watched to see which holy child would be able to snatch the dragon soul. Of course, there were some people who did not give up and look for opportunities to snatch the dragon soul. Among the holy children fighting were the woman in beast clothes and the ugly young man that Zhao Fu had met before. Their performance on the battlefield was outstanding, and they consecutively repelled several saints. There were too many holy sons participating in the battle, and no one could snatch the dragon soul for a while. Once a holy son flew over to the dragon soul, he would be met with countless attacks, forcing him to stop. The battle was still intense, and the saints unleashed terrifying attacks on their opponents. Slowly, some of the holy sons were injured and forced to retreat from the battle. Although dragon souls were precious, they didn't want to suffer heavy losses, let alone lose their lives. The saints left on the battlefield were undoubtedly stronger than ordinary saints. Boom, 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 boom. 5 enormous rumbling sounds rang out. 5 figures appeared in the sky, exuding a pressure that even heaven and earth couldn't withstand. Their temperaments were extraordinary, immortal light dense, as if they were 5 rulers. There were 3 men and 2 women, and the strongest was a cold-looking young man with short hair. The power he emanated seemed to be comparable to that of an ordinary almighty. The second man wore green clothes and had a scholarly and easygoing aura, and he had a trace of a smile on his face. The third man was a little fat, and his eyes seemed a little small. The remaining 2 women were also extremely beautiful. One was tall and wore a white dress, and she had an otherworldly aura like a fairy. The other had a graceful figure, wore black clothes, and had a cold expression. Sensing the 5 people's auras, the saints, who had been fighting intensely, all stopped. They looked up at the 5 people in the sky, and their expressions turned slightly unsightly. The 5 of them were the strongest people in this region, and their cultivations had all reached the Tao realm. How could they compete with these 5 people? The 5 of them had been defeating creatures in different places to obtain points, but because of Zhao Fu's appearance, they weren't interested in defeating creatures anymore. They wanted to find that terrifying person who had obtained 20 million points. Following this, the five of them sensed that there were massive ripples here, and they descended with terrifying auras. The five of them glanced at the many saints and finally fixed their gazes on the dragon soul. The fatty smiled and said, "This is an almighty-level dragon soul. Even almighty beings would be tempted by it. It's no wonder that so many people are fighting over it. Do you guys want it? If you don't, it's mine." Hearing this, the saints felt quite dissatisfied, but they could only endure it. They were at the peak of the Tao realm, and the faction behind them was quite terrifying. The cold-looking woman said, "I also want it. Let's have a showdown, and whoever wins can take the dragon soul." The fat man thought about it and smiled as he said, "No problem. Do the rest of you want it too?" The fat man looked at the other three people and looked at the cold-looking young man. As the strongest person, if he wanted the dragon soul, it would be very difficult for the fat man to compete with him. The scholarly young man smiled as he said, "I'm not interested. You two can fight." The woman in the white dress did not say anything, and it seemed that she was not interested either. In the end, the cold-looking young man said coldly, "I'm not interested." Following this, the fat man and cold-looking woman flew to the side and gave off an even greater aura, causing the weather to change and clouds to swirl. The other saints' expressions fell, and they hurriedly retreated. If the two of them fought, it would definitely be quite terrifying. Boom! At that moment, the two of them attacked. Their bodies disappeared, and they turned into two rays of light, one black and one red, that clashed together. A terrifying shock wave spread out, tearing apart space and giving off a massive explosion. Boom! 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 The explosions did not stop and continued to sound out. The black and red streams of light continuously collided with each other with terrifying power. Countless cracks appeared in the sky, and the sky was dyed into two colors, one black and the other red. Powerful shock waves blasted out, and the ground continuously crumbled. Trees, stones, flowers, and grass were all destroyed, and they were unable to resist at all. Everyone looked at the two people fighting in shock. The two of them were simply too powerful, causing everyone to feel a sense of fear. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two rays of light clashed together with immense power. A red and black orb of light blasted out with terrifying power, turning everything in the surroundings into nothingness. A wild gale blew out with great power, uprooting countless trees and blowing rocks into the sky. Sand, dust, and grass flew everywhere. After the shock waves dissipated, the fat man and cold-looking woman stood in the air, a trace of blood leaking out of their mouths. The battle was not over yet, and the two of them looked at each other and gave off terrifying auras. Just as they were about to continue attacking, something unexpected happened. Boom! Boom! Chapter 24:16. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a world-dominating aura spread out like a flood, instantly inundating everything. Nothing could resist this aura, and everyone felt terror in their hearts. Everyone was greatly shocked and looked up into the sky to see a group of people appear. The person in the lead was a black-cloaked young man who gave off an ordinary aura. Beside him stood two elderly people who gave off world-dominating auras. There were also two women, and even though they were also extremely beautiful, they were not very important. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Just who is this person? There are actually two almighty beings protecting him respectfully. Even though their saint factions had many higher beings, all of them had very high statuses in their factions and held quite a bit of power. Even holy sons had to be courteous to them and could not easily offend them. The five saint geniuses' expressions became serious as they looked at Zhao Fu's group. The two people who had been about to fight gave up on fighting. Suddenly, someone yelled out in shock, "He's that peerless expert who obtained 20 million points. The aura he gives off is the same as the Celestial Gate Medallion's aura." Everyone was sent into an uproar as they immediately sensed the Celestial Gate Medallion's aura. That's right. He's that terrifying person who obtained 20 million points in a few hours. I thought that I would never have the chance to meet such a terrifying person. Who would have thought that he would appear in front of me? I'm so excited. I'm so lucky to be able to see such a powerful existence with my own eyes. I also feel so lucky to be able to meet him here. He's the person most likely to open the celestial gate. I really want to see him open the celestial gate right now and show us what it's like. Wait, don't think that he's very powerful. He has two higher beings by his side, and with their help, it's not strange for him to obtain so many points so easily. I think so too. I can sense that his power and aura are so ordinary. He can't possibly have such terrifying abilities, right? Are the two of you stupid? Firstly, higher beings can't use the Celestial Gate medallion. Secondly, others can't help you obtain points. Thirdly, his aura is so ordinary. Do you think an ordinary person can make higher beings treat him so respectfully? Even if he's not as terrifying as we think, he's definitely someone we should come into contact with. I still believe that he can open the Celestial Gate. The bearded young man stared at Zhao Fu in the sky with wide eyes. His face was filled with disbelief. He had underestimated Zhao Fu's identity. He had never thought that Zhao Fu's identity would be so terrifying. He had not expected Zhao Fu to be that peerless expert who was even more terrifying than a martial sage. The beast-skinned woman and the ugly young man also looked at Zhao Fu in shock. No wonder he had defeated them so easily and spoke so arrogantly. It turned out that his identity and strength were so frightening. Fortunately, they had left obediently, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. When Zhao Fu heard their words, he was stunned. What points? It was as if they all knew him. The 5 Saint rank prodigies looked at Zhao Fu solemnly. He was the terrifying person who made them feel helpless. Although they could sense that Zhao Fu's aura and power were very different, Zhao Fu gave them a formless pressure and a very dangerous feeling. Tree Spirit and the old water dragon looked slightly serious. They could also sense that the 5 people in front of them were very terrifying and had the power to fight them. However, as almighty beings, they definitely had a great advantage. The old water dragon looked at the 5 people and said, "This dragon's soul belongs to the dragon clan. Our lord is the sovereign of the dragon clan. The dragon's soul should belong to our lord." That person in the sky is the sovereign of the dragon clan? Everyone was shocked once again. A supreme being of the dragon clan. That meant that he was the most respected person in the entire dragon clan. His status was even more frightening than them, the chosen. The 5 saint-ranked prodigies' expressions became even more serious. Although their identities and bloodlines were extremely frightening, they still did not have the qualifications to call themselves sovereigns. Those who dared to call themselves sovereigns were all very famous in the celestial world. The grim young man said, "I'm not interested in the dragon's soul. You can take it if you want." Hearing this, Zhao Fu did not hold back. He reached out and a formless power spread out. The dragon's soul automatically flew into Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu revealed a trace of a smile when he felt the powerful dragon energy contained in the dragon's soul. This was the dragon's soul of an almighty being, something that even almighty beings would be interested in. Zhao Fu thought that if he fused the ether into the Splendor Knight Silver Dragon's nest, there would definitely be unimaginable benefits. Perhaps Qin could breed Splendor Knight Silver Dragons in large numbers. Splendor Knight Silver Dragons were top-notch 8th rank dragons. If they could have as many as Qin's wyverns, it would be very helpful to Qin. No one present objected to Zhao Fu's actions. Not only were they afraid of Zhao Fu's identity, but there were also 2 almighty beings guarding him. How could they dare to snatch something from 2 almighty beings? Wouldn't that be courting death? After putting the item into his space, Zhao Fu was about to leave. After all, Zhao Fu had only come for the dragon's soul. Seeing that Zhao Fu was about to leave, the grim young man quickly said, "I'm the Black Tortoise Half Immortal World's holy son, Xian Shan. May I ask who in the dragon clan is?" Black Tortoise Half Immortal World. Hearing this name, Zhao Fu stopped. Wasn't this the power that the almighty being who wanted to take him as a disciple mentioned? Zhao Fu was quite grateful towards that almighty being. He was the one who gave him a map so that he did not have to search aimlessly. Zhao Fu took out the command medallion and smiled as he asked, "Do you recognize this thing?" When the grim young man saw the token, he was startled and said, "This is my master's unique token. May I ask why you have it?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "A small matter happened between your master and me. Your master gave this token to me so that I can go to the Black Tortoise Half Immortal World at any time." When the grim young man and the others heard this, they were shocked. The grim young man was the most terrifying person among the many almighty beings. His master was even more terrifying. He was extremely famous in many half-immortal worlds and was about to become a half-immortal. Now that Zhao Fu said that he was familiar with such a powerful person, everyone was even more certain that Zhao Fu's identity was terrifying. He was not someone they could offend. The fatty smiled and quickly said, "I'm the fulling half-immortal world's Fuya. It's my honor to meet you today." The scholarly young man also introduced himself politely. "I'm the Book Forest half-immortal world Shuyang. I hope you get to know you." The remaining two women also introduced themselves. The fairy-like beauty came from the Willow Immortal World's Lu Xiangxiang. The black-clothed woman was the Black Mountain half-immortal world's Mo Yi. If they could get to know a powerful person like Zhao Fu, it would be beneficial for them in the future. Chapter 24:17. What they did not know was that Zhao Fu did not have such a terrifying identity. He was just the ruler of a small kingdom, someone who they would normally treat with respect. Zhao Fu looked at the five of them, introduced themselves, and thought before saying, "I'm called Mo Yi. As for my identity, I'm sorry, but I can't say." If he said Zhao Fu's identity, let alone the five saint geniuses, the two higher beings would kill Zhao Fu first. The five people felt quite disappointed. They wanted to know just how terrifying Zhao Fu's identity was, but since Zhao Fu did not want to say it, they could not force Zhao Fu to say it. The grim-looking young man thought about it and said, "Sir, you must be trying to enter the gate of heaven, right? How confident are you in opening the gate of heaven?" Everyone felt quite startled. Even though they did not know Zhao Fu's identity and felt quite disappointed, the gate of heaven was what they cared about the most. As such, they looked at Zhao Fu, waiting to see how Zhao Fu would reply. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "No, I'm not interested in the gate of heaven. I have no interest in the immortal sect, nor do I want to enter it." Right now, Zhao Fu's cultivation was only at the Emperor Heaven realm, and what was more important was that Zhao Fu had Qin. Qin was Zhao Fu's most important thing, and there was no comparison. Zhao Fu could not give up on Qin in order to enter the celestial world. However, the others did not know about this, and hearing this, they looked quite confused. This peerless genius, who was ranked first on the rankings, was not interested in the gate of heaven. Entering the gate of heaven was like reaching the heavens in a single step and directly entering the celestial world. Becoming a disciple of a super faction would bring unimaginable benefits, and even saint geniuses like them would feel quite tempted. However, this person in front of them had said that he was not interested. If an ordinary person said this, they would definitely think that he was an idiot or someone who thought too highly of himself. Now, that a terrifying person like Zhao Fu had said this, everyone really believed that he had no interest in the celestial sect. They were more interested in Zhao Fu's identity. What kind of terrifying person was he that had no interest in entering the celestial world? The grim-faced young man thought that since Zhao Fu was not interested in entering the celestial world, it would definitely be easy for him to enter the celestial world. Perhaps he was from the celestial world, so he could not help but ask, "Sir, are you from the celestial world?" Zhao Fu gave a mysterious smile and said, "I can't say. Doesn't this mean that I'm from the celestial world? My identity is terrifying. Are you guys afraid?" Everyone's hearts trembled. The other party really was from the celestial world. Why was he so terrifying? Everything made sense now. The grim-looking young man revealed a smile. "Since you don't want to tell me, that's fine. I wonder if you have the time? I would like to exchange a few blows with you so that I can admire your strength. Zhao Fu didn't want to fight someone for no reason. This person was at peak Dao realm, so wasn't fighting him just asking for trouble? He smiled and said, "Sorry, I'm not interested." The grim-faced young man felt quite disappointed. He had wanted to spar with Zhao Fu to see just how big the difference was between him and Zhao Fu. He also wanted to see just how strong Zhao Fu was. I can also suppress my cultivation to the Emperor Heaven realm. Please exchange a few blows with me. I really want to see just how strong Sir is, the grim-faced young man said as he looked at Zhao Fu, unwilling to give up. The other 4 saint-grade geniuses also looked at Zhao Fu, feeling quite expectant. They wanted to see just how powerful Zhao Fu was, and they also wanted to fight with Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the grim-faced young man and said confidently, "If you also suppress your cultivation to the Emperor Heaven realm, there's no need to compete because you'll definitely lose." Now that he had an early-stage origin bloodline and 7 Emperor stars, Zhao Fu was very confident that any Emperor Heaven realm expert would lose to him. There was only one way to defeat him, which was to suppress him with cultivation. Everyone looked quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would say such a thing. It sounded incredibly arrogant. The grim-faced young man was the strongest person here and one of the most important people here. Who dared to speak to him like this? Hearing this, the grim-faced young man was not angry and instead smiled as he said, "I still want to try. Please give me a chance, sir." Zhao Fu thought about it and smiled as he said, "I'll give you a chance then." Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and all of his power flowed out. 7 star-like motes of light appeared in front of his palm, giving off different lights. A powerful light covered the 7 stars, forming an orb of light. A power that surpassed the world and was not bound by laws that could shake even celestials gradually spread out, causing space to twist and a massive might to cover the surroundings. Everyone felt their bodies sink as if they had fallen into an abyss. Facing boundless darkness, they felt immense terror within their hearts, and their bodies started to tremble. They had never felt such immense power before. What terrifying power! Everyone looked at the orb of light in Zhao Fu's hand and inwardly cried out. The 5 saint-grade geniuses' expressions became incredibly serious as they felt immense pressure. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "If you use the same level of power to shatter an orb of light, it'll be your win." The grim-faced young man nodded seriously and stretched out a hand. An extremely terrifying power flowed out, seeming to be able to shatter the heavens and earth and cause all creatures to feel terror. A small person of light appeared above his palm, which was covered by countless rays of light and formed an orb of light. Zhao Fu tossed out the orb of light, and the orb of light floated forwards. The grim-faced young man also tossed out the orb of light, which floated forwards. One orb of light had 7 different stars within it, while the other orb of light had a small person within it. The 2 of them clashed together. The small person of light was like a war celestial and gave off a disdainful aura as it rushed towards the 7 stars. The small person of light's punch seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth as it slammed into the 7 stars. The 7 stars trembled and gave off resplendent light as a ruler's power spread out, blocking that terrifying power. Roar! The small person of light roared and gave off even more shocking power as it blasted towards the 7 stars. The 7 stars gave off boundless light, forming 7 rays of light that shot towards the small person of light. Boom! The 7 rays of light were like corporeal pillars of light as they pierced through the small person of light, causing it to turn into countless motes of light and disappear. The grim-faced young man sighed. The other party's power was indeed greater than his, and he acknowledged Zhao Fu. He said, "Sir is indeed powerful. I'm not a match for you." The other 4 saint-grade geniuses' expressions were also quite dim. Even the most powerful person, the grim-faced young man, had lost, so they did not have any hope. They felt that they had taken a heavy blow. They, who had been high and mighty, found that there was someone more terrifying than them, and they did not feel good at all. However, there was nothing they could say about their strength being inferior to Zhao Fu's. This was the truth, and they did not know just who he was. Chapter 24:18. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. I won't participate in the gate of heaven's matters, so you can continue with your trials. Don't mind me." Hearing this, the 5 saint-grade geniuses thought about it. Since Zhao Fu was not going to participate, they could ignore him. The 5 of them still had a chance of opening the celestial gate, and if Zhao Fu joined, they would have no chance at all. Now that Zhao Fu had given them such an important opportunity, the 5 of them said gratefully, "Thank you for not participating, sir." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. He did not say anything else and flew off with his people. The gate medallion had a time limit, and after this time, it would teleport people out. If they did not teleport out, they would have to rely on their own abilities to leave the depths of the Forbidden Zone, which would be very dangerous. Zhao Fu wanted to use this time to obtain more treasures. As for the tree spirit and the old water dragon, they would not leave with him, as the depths of the Forbidden Zone were the best places to cultivate. They were creatures of the Forbidden Zone and were familiar with the surroundings. Moreover, they did not have a half-celestial world to cultivate in, so they could only stay in the depths of the Forbidden Zone. Boom! A few hours later, Zhao Fu followed the tree spirit to a stretch of ruins. Most of the buildings here had collapsed, and there were only some ruins left. The surroundings were completely barren, and there were many weeds growing all around. The tree spirit had sensed traces of ruins here, so perhaps he could find some good things. After all, this might be the depths of the Forbidden Zone, and the people who had built buildings here were either extremely powerful people or extremely powerful races. The tree spirit sensed the surroundings and said, "Sir, come with me." Zhao Fu nodded and followed the tree spirit to a flat area. The tree spirit pressed one hand on the ground, and a powerful yellow energy spread out. The ground collapsed with a boom, and a dark tunnel 10 meters wide and 3 meters tall appeared. That passageway entrance was also protected by a barrier. It was a type of void barrier that emitted a very powerful energy. The tree spirit's expression was quite serious as he said, "Sir, this passage is not simple and might be very dangerous." The passageway here is not simple. It might be very dangerous. Should we continue exploring? Hearing this, Zhao Fu's expression became serious. The tree spirit was a higher being, and if it said that this place was dangerous, it meant that there was a power that could threaten higher beings. However, Zhao Fu still decided to give it a try. If it really was dangerous, he would have to leave. After understanding Zhao Fu's intention, the tree spirit stretched out a hand and turned it into countless roots that quickly attacked the barrier and enveloped it. The many tree roots absorbed the power of the barrier. Slowly, the barrier became weaker and weaker. Then it shattered. A gust of wind blew out from the passageway, causing Zhao Fu and the others' clothes to flutter. Tree Spirit walked in front and said to Old Water Dragon, "Old Water Dragon, you and I will each guard one side to avoid danger. Also, be careful at all times. If anything dangerous happens, we will retreat immediately." The Old Water Dragon nodded seriously. They could also sense the terrifying void fluctuations coming from here. The 2 of them stood in front of Zhao Fu, while Zhao Fu followed behind them. Because he knew that it was very dangerous inside, Zhao Fu did not have Feng Wuyi and the Spirit Maiden follow him. Instead, he had them wait outside. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others walked into the pitch-black passageway. After entering, the tree spirit waved his hand, and countless rays of yellow light shined out, illuminating the entire passageway. They continued to advance carefully. A massive wave of void energy suddenly flew out from the depths of the passageway, crashing towards Zhao Fu and the others with shocking power. The tree spirit stretched out a hand, and a wave of higher beings' power flowed into it, forming a defensive barrier. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the wave of void energy crashed into the barrier. The barrier trembled, and some small cracks appeared on it. Most likely, even a spirit realm cultivator would not be able to block this wave of void energy. Luckily, Zhao Fu did not need to do anything. There were two higher beings with him, and they would block all the danger for Zhao Fu. If they could not block this wave of void energy, Zhao Fu would not be able to. Onwards. Boom. Another wave of void energy flew out from the depths of the passageway, crashing against the barrier with a powerful aura. More and more cracks appeared on the barrier. As such, the tree spirit could only unleash even greater power. Countless tiny roots started to grow within the barrier, causing it to become even thicker and sturdier, and it gave off even greater power. Boom! Another massive wave of spatial power flowed out from the depths of the passageway, slamming against the defensive barrier with shocking power. This time, the defensive barrier blocked the spatial power and did not show any cracks. They continued onwards, and more void energy continuously flowed out, crashing against the barrier. The sturdy yellow barrier blocked these attacks. Finally, Zhao Fu and the others arrived at the space. This place was completely empty, as if there was nothing at all. The surroundings were completely dark, without a single ray of light, and the surroundings were completely silent. Sir, now that you're standing between us, it'll be even more dangerous. You have to be careful. We might not be able to protect you, the tree spirit said seriously. Zhao Fu replied seriously, I understand. The aura coming from here was more than 10 times more dangerous than the passageway. It was completely dark, and they had no idea what terrifying things were here. Everyone continued onwards. Roar! A roar suddenly sounded out as a semi-transparent void wolf that was 5 meters long and had long fur between its eyebrows rushed out. It gave off terrifying power as it ferociously leapt towards Zhao Fu and the others. Bang! A muffled sound rang out as the void wolf bit down on the barrier, and its sharp teeth tore through the barrier, looking quite terrifying. In that moment, the old water dragon grabbed out with a hand, and boundless water power gathered in his hand, forming a water dragon spear. The old water dragon stabbed out with the spear, and the spear gave off immense power as it pierced through the void wolf's body. The void wolf howled in pain. Its body turned into countless streams of void energy and disappeared. The three of them carefully continued onwards. Roar! Roar! Howls continuously sounded out as terrifying void wolves slowly appeared from the darkness. They looked at Zhao Fu and the others with cold and cruel eyes. The auras that these void wolves gave off were quite powerful, and each of them was no weaker than a Dao Realm expert. If one entered without higher being cultivation, they would definitely die. Zhao Fu and the others stopped because the void wolves had surrounded them. Swish, swish, swish. The void wolves did not hesitate for too long, and they gave off powerful auras as they charged at Zhao Fu and the others incredibly quickly. The tree spirit's expression was solemn, but he did not feel any fear. He sent out even more power, and more roots grew out of the yellow energy barrier. After the barrier became stronger, it also became tougher. Chapter 24:19. The old water dragon's expression was serious, and he sent even more power into his water dragon spear, causing it to give off a powerful aura. As for Zhao Fu, who was standing in the middle, he did not have to do anything. Facing these void wolves that could rival Dao Realm experts, Zhao Fu felt that there was nothing he could do. The void wolves continuously leapt over, and Tree Spirit was mainly in charge of defending. He blocked the countless void wolves who slammed into the defensive barrier and used their sharp teeth to bite and claws to claw. Bang! 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 The old water dragon was in charge of attacking, and he continuously swung his dragon spear, sending out waves of terrifying power that sent the void wolves flying. After a while, many of the void wolves had been killed and turned into countless streams of void chi that dissipated. The remaining void wolves viciously looked at Zhao Fu and the others, not daring to come close, and they turned and ran away. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others continued onwards, and for a while, they were not attacked by the Void Wolves. However, the auras that they gave off became more and more dangerous and heavy. Roar! A massive roar sounded out as a 10-meter-tall monster with the upper body of a Void Wolf and the lower body of a human appeared in front of the three of them. It gave off power that rivaled higher beings and appeared in front of them. Tree Spirit and the old water dragon's expressions slightly changed. The old water dragon said, "Old Treehead, I'll test his power first. You're in charge of protecting the Lord. There might be other monsters hiding nearby." Tree Spirit replied, I know. You should be careful too." Boom! At that moment, the half-wolf, half-human monster gave off a massive aura as it charged over. The old water dragon did not say anything and held his water dragon spear as he charged at the monster. The two of them were incredibly fast, and in an instant, they were only 3 meters apart. The monster swung its claws, which gave off a power that seemed to be able to tear apart space. It drew out 5 black arcs of light as it grabbed towards the old water dragon. The old water dragon stabbed out with his spear, sending out a massive spear energy that seemed to be able to destroy everything. Bang! The two of them clashed together, and a terrifying shockwave spread out, causing the space around it to collapse. The scene was quite terrifying. The monster's face was ferocious as it swung its other claw at the old water dragon. Water Dragon blocked the monster's claw with his spear. At that moment, the old water dragon twisted his body and kicked out, causing a huge explosion. The monster was sent flying hundreds of meters away. As a member of the dragon race, the old water dragon's physical strength was terrifying. Roar! The monster roared in pain and opened its massive mouth, shooting out a massive illusory beam of light that contained terrifying power towards the old water dragon, causing the space around it to twist. Old Water Dragon stabbed out with his spear, and a massive water medallion formed a water dragon that gave off a massive dragon's might as it rushed forwards. Bang! A loud sound rang out as the two collided. Countless splashes and air currents shot out in all directions. Suddenly, the monster's body appeared above the old water dragon's head, and a sharp wolf claw containing immense power slashed down towards the old water dragon. The old water dragon raised his head and looked at the monster. At that moment, countless traces of water appeared around his body, forming a water barrier that gave off a powerful aura. Bang! The terrifying claw clashed against the water barrier, leaving behind 5 deep claw marks. However, the water barrier quickly recovered and blocked the monster's attack. The monster's expression was ferocious as it twisted its body and kicked out, bringing with it a shocking amount of power and a gust of wind. Bang! A muffled sound rang out as the water barrier was kicked away, turning into countless splashes of water. The old water dragon's body was also kicked back 10 or so meters. The monster ferociously continued to charge at the old water dragon. The old water dragon's expression became cold as he waved his spear. Countless traces of water gathered around him as he stabbed out with his spear. Boom! A huge torrent of water with the momentum of 1,000 miles gushed out, knocking the monster far away. Roar! The monster raised its head to the sky and gave off an even more ferocious aura as it madly charged at the old water dragon. The old water dragon did not show any fear and charged over with a powerful aura. Zhao Fu and Tree Spirit watched from his side as the two of them battled. Each of their attacks gave off immense destructive power, seeming to be able to destroy the surrounding space. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of the defensive barrier and swung its claws, giving off terrifying power as it grabbed towards the defensive barrier. Puff! The powerful barrier was instantly shattered, and Tree Spirit's expression changed as he blocked in front of Zhao Fu. As expected, there were other monsters hiding in the surroundings, and they finally couldn't help but attack. A cruel smile appeared on the monster's face as it swung its other claw, leaving behind 5 sharp arcs of light as it clawed at Tree Spirit. Tree Spirit clenched his fist and countless rays of yellow light condensed as he punched out. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the claw and fist collided. A terrifying shockwave once again spread out, causing the space around them to crack. Even though Zhao Fu was behind Tree Spirit, he was still affected by the shockwave and was knocked back 4 or 5 meters. Fortunately, he was not injured. The monster's expression was ferocious as it opened its massive mouth and bit at Tree Spirit. Tree Spirit dodged to the side and made a move. He stretched out his hand, and a soft root stretched out from his palm like a whip. Tree Spirit grabbed the whip and lashed it hard. Ha! The whip brought with it terrifying power as it lashed against the monster's body, sending it flying, and a deep gash appeared on its body. The monster howled in pain and ferociously attacked Tree Spirit. Tree Spirit swung the wooden root whip in his hand and lashed out at the monster. The two of them clashed, causing powerful shockwaves to spread out, and the space around them continuously shattered. Zhao Fu was unable to block these terrifying shockwaves at all, and he could only retreat. Zhao Fu also released his barrier. Now that the two higher beings were fighting with the monster, they had no time to protect him. If another monster appeared, even if it was not a higher being level monster, a Dao realm monster would be able to kill Zhao Fu. Now, Zhao Fu had to be careful and enter his strongest 10,000 god state. Bang! 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 The battle became more and more intense, and the shockwaves became even more terrifying. Zhao Fu could only retreat further away, or else those shockwaves would be able to kill him. Zhao Fu also carefully sensed his surroundings in case any dangers appeared. From the looks of it, Tree Spirit and the old water dragon were much stronger, and it was only a matter of time before they defeated the two monsters. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the old water dragon's spear shot out like lightning and pierced through the monster's chest. The monster howled in pain as its body turned into nothingness and dissipated. Chapter 24:20. Boom! Boom! Massive explosions sounded out as Tree Spirit raised a hand, which gave off boundless yellow light. An incredibly terrifying power fused into the air, and massive spears containing shocking power shot down from the sky toward the monster. The monster gave off immense power and continuously dodged, avoiding the wooden spears and using its sharp claws to continuously shatter them. Tree Spirit coldly harumphed and sent an even greater wave of power into his raised hand, which gave off an intense yellow light that illuminated the surroundings. Boom! 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 Even more wooden spears shot down from the sky. The spears brought with them even greater power as they shot down from the sky. Even though the monster desperately tried to defend, its body was still pierced by the countless spears, and it gave a massive howl as its body dissipated into nothingness energy. Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. There was no danger around them. The two higher beings had been fighting, and if there had been any other monsters, Zhao Fu would have been in great danger. Now that the two higher beings had finished fighting, Zhao Fu's safety was guaranteed. The two higher beings flew over to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "How are you? Are you hurt?" The two higher beings laughed as they said, "I just lost some power. It's nothing serious." Following this, Zhao Fu and the others continued onwards. They did not encounter any more danger, and the three of them continued onwards until they came before a wooden door. This door was 10,000 meters wide and seemed to fuse into nothingness. It was red and had golden patterns of flowers and birds on it. The door looked incredibly beautiful and noble, and it gave off a massive wave of nothingness power. Looking at the door, Zhao Fu felt that it was quite familiar, whether it was the power it gave off or the door's appearance. There were two stone platforms next to the door, and there had most likely been something there. Zhao Fu thought about it and realized that it was most likely those two monsters. Those two monsters had been responsible for guarding this door, but they had attacked Zhao Fu and the others first. "Sir, do we continue onwards?" Tree Spirit asked with an incredibly serious expression as he looked at the door. Old Water Dragon also had the same expression. Not only did they feel immense pressure from this door, but they also sensed great danger, so they did not feel too confident. Zhao Fu knew that it was dangerous, but he still said seriously, "I want to go in." Old Water Dragon said, "Sir, don't worry. If you continue, it will be very dangerous. We can't guarantee your safety." Tree Spirit chimed in. "That's right. My lord cannot advance any further." Zhao Fu looked at the mahogany door in front of him and said seriously, I know, but I still want to go in." Seeing that Zhao Fu had made his decision, the two higher beings did not say anything else. Their expressions were serious as they stood guard beside Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu personally walked to the front, stretched out a hand, and placed it on the red door. A large amount of power gathered in his hand, and he pushed it forward. Creak! A loud sound rang out as the mahogany door slowly opened. An incomparably terrifying power that seemed to surpass the heavens and earth surged out like a flood. The three of them felt as if they had fallen into icy water, and the coldness seeped into their bones. Their bodies felt immense pain, and they continuously trembled as a wave of terror flowed out of their hearts. After all, Zhao Fu had an original stage bloodline, and there was nothing that could make him feel so afraid. Moreover, it was not just Zhao Fu. The two higher beings also felt immense terror. The door finally opened. After the mahogany door opened, the scene behind it was revealed to Zhao Fu and the others. There was nothing inside, just a jade platform on which an elderly man sat cross-legged. The elderly man's eyes were closed, and his expression was cold. He wore white clothes, and his hair and eyebrows were snow white. His skin was like jade, and he gave off a terrifying might. He felt like a celestial, but he was not. Tree Spirit said in shock, "This person was at least a half-step celestial, and he doesn't have any signs of life. It's as if he failed to become a celestial and died here." The old water dragon looked quite shocked as he said, "I never thought that such a terrifying expert would die here. Just the terrifying might that he gave off after his death is enough to make us feel terror. If he was at his peak, he could easily kill us." Looking at this elderly man, Zhao Fu frowned and walked over. Tree Spirit hurriedly stopped Zhao Fu and said, "Sir, we really can't go any further. We don't have any confidence in being able to protect ourselves." Zhao Fu looked at the elderly man seriously and said, "You two wait here. I'll go by myself." Tree Spirit and the old water dragon looked quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would say such a thing. Even they did not dare to go forward, and yet Zhao Fu, an Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator, dared to. Seeing how serious Zhao Fu looked, it did not seem like he was joking. However, Tree Spirit still asked, "Sir, are you really going to go forward?" Zhao Fu nodded. Tree Spirit and the old water dragon did not say anything and nervously waited by the side. Zhao Fu started to walk forwards, and a terrifying spatial restriction blocked in front of Zhao Fu, giving off a celestial and god-slaying aura. Tree Spirit and the old water dragon felt quite startled. If they tried to force their way through, they would definitely be heavily injured by this restriction and might even die. However, what happened next caused them to look incredibly shocked. Zhao Fu gave off a spatial energy, and the terrifying restriction in front of him automatically dissipated and did not attack Zhao Fu. What's going on? The two higher beings did not understand what had happened. Why had such a terrifying restriction automatically dissipated? They could not help but think about Zhao Fu's unknown and terrifying identity. They felt that Zhao Fu's identity was incredibly terrifying, and he had even made 5 divine geniuses admit defeat without any sign of dissatisfaction. He most likely had some sort of terrifying ability. This way, the two of them could understand what had happened. Zhao Fu gave off spatial energy, and the restriction in front of him continuously dissipated. Zhao Fu arrived on the jade platform without any obstruction. The two higher beings watched nervously. Zhao Fu came in front of the old man and stretched out a hand. Boom! An explosion sounded out as spatial energy continuously surged out of Zhao Fu's body and poured into the old man's body. The old man, who originally had no signs of life, actually started to absorb the power that Zhao Fu poured into him. He even took the initiative to absorb a large amount of Zhao Fu's power. Time passed bit by bit. The old man continuously absorbed Zhao Fu's power and gave off a terrifying fluctuation, but his body was slowly turning illusory. As a large amount of power flowed out, Zhao Fu's face also became somewhat pale. Finally, the old man's body disappeared, and a figure appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It slowly opened its eyes and looked at Zhao Fu. Chapter 24-21. The elder's current state was that of a remnant soul, and the power he gave off was much weaker, but it was still quite terrifying. His eyes danced with celestial light as he looked at Zhao Fu with a strange expression. "You obtain my legacy?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "Senior's legacy and rewards have been of great help to me, so I thank Senior here." The elder said calmly, "Since you were able to obtain my legacy, it's your fortune. It's all thanks to you that my remnant soul has awakened. Also, I'm curious, who are you? You actually grew to such an extreme existence. Even the celestial world doesn't have such a person." The two higher beings felt quite shocked. Even that elder, who was about to become a celestial, had said this. Zhao Fu's identity was not something they dared to imagine. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "Thank you for your praise. I thought that Senior had already reincarnated and never thought that I would meet you here." The elder explained, "That was a good friend of mine. It wasn't me." Zhao Fu asked in confusion, "Then why didn't Senior return to that place after so long? Why did you perish here?" The elder thought of something, and a trace of anger appeared on his face as he said, "That place is no longer important to me, so I did not go back. As for why I ended up like this, it's because I was heavily injured by 3 celestials back then and forcefully broke through to the celestial realm before perishing here." Zhao Fu felt that the elder was not an ordinary expert, and hearing that he had been heavily injured by 3 celestials, he felt quite shocked. If he became a celestial, he would be far more powerful than ordinary celestials. Now that all of the questions in his heart had been answered, Zhao Fu felt much more relaxed, and he smiled as he asked, "What does Senior plan to do next?" The elder could tell what Zhao Fu wanted to do. "You want to subdue me?" Zhao Fu did not hide anything and nodded. "That's right. I believe that it would be great for such a powerful person to join the Qin Kingdom." The elder's gaze became sharp as he stared at Zhao Fu. "Do you think I'll submit to you so easily?" Zhao Fu looked into the elder's eyes and smiled confidently as he said, "Senior, I gave you my legacy back then, and now I've awakened your remnant soul. This means that we are fated, and Senior understands my potential. I will definitely not mistreat Senior in the future." The elder sank into his thoughts and did not immediately agree to Zhao Fu's request. The elder sank into his thoughts and did not immediately reply to Zhao Fu. After a while, the old man said seriously, "Right now, I'm just a remnant soul. It's very difficult for me to recover to my peak. Moreover, it's not a bad thing to submit to a miraculous person like you. I can submit to you." Zhao Fu could not help but smile. "Thank you for your trust, Senior. In the future, I will definitely help Senior recover to his peak strength and help Senior become a celestial." This elder's background was not simple at all. Not only was he related to Zhao Fu, but he was also related to the 10 or so domains around the ancient stem domain. After all, his true identity was the Great Void Ancestor. In the past, Zhao Fu had gone to a place called the Cosmos Historical Remnant. It was incredibly big and was split into 10 levels. There were all sorts of treasures in each level, and many people dreamed of entering that place. However, entering that place was not an easy matter. One needed a Cosmos medallion and had to wait 10 years before being able to enter. Every time the Cosmos Historical Remnant opened, it would be the most lively time. Countless factions paid great attention to it and sent their geniuses in to train. The Cosmos Historical Remnant belonged to the Great Void Ancestor, who was the elder in front of him. It was him who had forcefully sealed Ericina in the first level of the Cosmos Historical Remnant. Now, The things in the cosmos historical remnant were not very important to Zhao Fu. After all, Zhao Fu was now an Emperor Heaven Realm expert and had an origin bloodline. He was no longer the same Zhao Fu from back then. Back then, Zhao Fu could not even defeat a World Realm expert. But now, Zhao Fu could crush a World Realm expert to death with a single hand. Zhao Fu had never thought that he would meet the Great Void Ancestor here. He had thought that the Great Void Ancestor had used the reincarnation platform to reincarnate, but had not returned because of an accident. Speaking to there, Zhao Fu remembered that the main material for Qin's 9 paths of reincarnation was the reincarnation jade from the reincarnation platform. Subduing the Great Void Ancestor was of great benefit to Qin. Firstly, he would have another peerless expert who could become a terrifying celestial. Secondly, the cosmos historical remnant would naturally belong to Qin, and no one would be able to enter it in the future. Controlling such a large historical remnant would definitely be of great help to Qin, because the Great Void Ancestor was only a remnant soul. Even though he looked quite powerful, he would dissipate easily. If Zhao Fu wanted to take him away, he needed to put him into something that could stabilize and protect his soul. Zhao Fu thought about it and took out a jade flute. This jade flute was made from 3-soul jade and had powerful soul energy. It could stabilize and protect one's soul, and it was quite effective. This jade flute was very precious and difficult to obtain, and it was one of the treasures given to him by a group of ghosts in the ghost refining domain. After putting the Great Void Ancestor into the jade flute, Zhao Fu put it on his body. The Great Void Ancestor did not want to put it into a spatial ring. Tree Spirit and the Old Water Dragon looked at Zhao Fu in admiration. If even a terror great existence like that could submit to him, the two of them wanted to submit to Zhao Fu. However, even if they wanted to submit to Zhao Fu would not accept it. With his current strength, he could not control higher beings. Moreover, the two of them were only so respectful because of how terrifying Zhao Fu's identity was. However, if they knew that Zhao Fu's true identity was just the king of a small kingdom, they would most likely kill Zhao Fu. After all, killing Zhao Fu would bring them greater benefits. For example, the Zhao Fu bloodline was the rarest and most powerful bloodline in the world. It was a peerless treasure, and there was no one who did not want it. After leaving, Zhao Fu continued to follow Tree Spirit and search for treasures. However, what Zhao Fu did not know was that his Immortal Gate medallion had suddenly gained another 100 million points, which was equivalent to defeating 10 higher beings. When countless people saw this, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even their hearts stopped for a moment. Was this something that a human could do? It was simply unimaginable. The 5 sacred ranked geniuses felt their legs turn to jelly. They were incomparably shocked. This person had once again exceeded their expectations. Heavens, hit me first. I want to see if I'm hallucinating. How could that person suddenly gain 100 million points? Defeating a higher being only gave him 10 million. Did he defeat a half-immortal? Don't doubt it. It's real. He obtained 100 million points in one go. I'm almost scared to death. An enemy like that might really be able to defeat a half-immortal. Chapter 24-22. My understanding of him has been refreshed. Him obtaining 10 million points at once was already shocking enough, but I never thought that he would obtain 100 million. Even if he gave me a few years, I wouldn't be able to obtain that many points. Ha ha ha. It's good that I've seen such a terrifying person with my own eyes. A few Saint-grade geniuses admitted defeat in front of him. No matter how shocking his performance is, I won't be surprised because it's normal. It's a pity that he's not interested in the Celestial Gate. If it was him, he would definitely be able to open the Celestial Gate and enter the Celestial World. I can guarantee that. Haha, I don't need your guarantee. It would be strange if such a powerful person couldn't enter the Celestial World. I feel that it's a pity that I didn't ask him if he needed subordinates. If I could follow him, it would be a massive opportunity. That's right. It's a pity that such a powerful person didn't say a few words to me. I won't be able to meet such a powerful person in the future. All right, All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Even a holy sun looks down on such a person, let alone us. Let's just collect treasures. Don't think about such unrealistic things. Zhao Fu did not know about these things, but the 100 million points were not very useful. He could not exchange them for other things or benefits. Time gradually passed, and soon, a few days had passed. The Celestial Gate Medallion's time limit was about to end, and Zhao Fu stopped and did not continue to search for treasures. Zhao Fu smiled and said gratefully, "Thank you for your help and protection. I will definitely repay you in the future." It could be said that it was all because of the tree spirit and the old water dragon that Zhao Fu had been able to go so easily and had not encountered much danger. He had also obtained many treasures. If Zhao Fu had been by himself, with his Emperor Heaven Realm cultivation, he would not have been able to go to many places and would have had to hide and be extremely careful. It would have been impossible for him to obtain such precious treasures. Moreover, at critical moments, such as in the passageway, they had seriously protected him and fought against two powerful monsters. For this, Zhao Fu was really grateful to them. He thought that Qin would repay them when he became really powerful in the future. The two of them were a little overwhelmed. They were just at the peak of Dao Realm and had been stuck there for many years. They relied on Zhao Fu to break through, so they were really grateful toward Zhao Fu. In addition to Zhao Fu's unknown and terrifying identity, even a half-immortal would sigh in admiration. Even if Zhao Fu treated the two of them as slaves, they would not dare to complain. On the contrary, Zhao Fu's attitude was the opposite. He treated the two of them very well and even respected them. They also liked Zhao Fu. The two higher beings smiled as they replied, "My lord, there's no need to be so polite. This is what we should do. If you have time in the future, you can come here again. We'll definitely prepare a good banquet to entertain you." Zhao Fu nodded lightly. "I'll come if I have time." The celestial light from the immortal gate token became brighter and brighter. Then it wrapped around Zhao Fu, the spirit maiden, and Feng Wuyi, and it turned into a ray of light that shot into the sky and disappeared. Zhao Fu and the others felt a massive force pulling them to the side. After a while, they returned to the interior of the great immortal crack and stood in front of the massive celestial gate. Many people had gathered at the celestial gate. Not only were there people who had returned from the Forbidden Area's depths, but there were also many people who had not entered the Forbidden Area's depths. They had gathered here mainly to see if anyone could open the celestial gate. This time, there were 5 terrifying Saint-tier prodigies participating. With their terrifying power and talent, they might be able to open the celestial gate. They did not know what had happened in the Forbidden Area's depths. If they knew, they would definitely be shocked. The 5 Saint-tier prodigies that they looked up to had admitted defeat in front of Zhao Fu. The 5 Saint-tier prodigies had all passed the trial in the Forbidden Area's depths. Now, a celestial mark appeared on their foreheads. It was a square shape with a 6-pointed star in the middle, and it gave off boundless celestial light. The 5 of them stood in front of the celestial gate with serious expressions and prepared to open the celestial gate. Everyone's gazes were focused on them, and all of them were filled with nervousness and anticipation. None of them made a single sound. Suddenly, Zhao Fu and the others teleported outside, and the originally quiet scene immediately burst into an uproar. Some people had never thought that they would be able to see Zhao Fu again, and they excitedly cried out, "Greetings, sir. Sir, I'm willing to be your slave. Sir, please take me in. I can do anything." The 5 Saint-tier prodigies stopped and looked at Zhao Fu. They gave a trace of a smile and flew toward Zhao Fu. Most people looked quite confused and did not know what had happened. A young girl asked curiously, "Hey, just who is that person? Why did he cause such a commotion?" The 5 Saint-tier prodigies seemed to be so courteous to him. A young man said curiously, "That's right. I'm also quite curious about that person's identity. Why does he seem so terrifying?" The bearded young man proudly smiled and said, "You people who have not entered the Forbidden Area's depths probably don't know. He's not an ordinary person. He's an unknown and terrifying figure. Not only can he obtain 10 million points, but he can also obtain 100 million points. Even higher beings have to treat him with respect, and even the 5 saint-tier prodigies have admitted to losing to him. Don't you think this kind of person is terrifying? An ordinary-looking middle-aged man looked incredibly shocked as he asked, "Is this true? Don't lie to us." The young man smiled as he replied, "Do you think I'd lie to you? Look at this scene. Do you think I'm lying? Let me tell you, his identity is many times more terrifying than a saint-tier prodigy. You'd best be careful and not offend him." Seeing how excited those people were, everyone else believed the young man's words and looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Just who was this terrifying and powerful person? Where did he come from? How come they had never met before? The 5 saint-tier prodigies came before Zhao Fu and smiled as they said, "We meet again." Zhao Fu understood that the 5 of them had passed the test, so he lightly smiled and said, "Congratulations. I hope you can open the celestial door and enter the celestial world." The cold-looking young man smiled and said, "We don't have much confidence in this matter. If it's you, you should be able to open the celestial door." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't mind me. You could try to open the celestial door. I'll be watching from here." Even though Zhao Fu was not very interested in entering the celestial world, he was quite curious about opening the celestial door and wanted to see what it was like. Zhao Fu did not go through the second test and did not obtain a celestial seal. He did not even have the right to open the door. Chapter 24-23. The cold-looking young man nodded, and the 5 of them came before the celestial door. The first to go up was the fatty. He flew in front of the celestial door and looked at it, feeling quite nervous. After deeply breathing out, the fatty's expression became serious as he stretched out a hand and placed it on the celestial door. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive wave of power exploded out from the fatty's body, flooding out in all directions. It was as if there was no one blocking it, and the air became quite heavy. The celestial mark on the fatty's forehead gave off an intense celestial light, and the fatty roared as he pressed against the celestial door with immense power. It seemed to be able to tear apart the air as he pushed forwards. Boom! A massive, muffled explosion sounded out as an energy wave blew out in all directions. Everyone looked quite confused. In front of this massive power, the celestial door did not budge at all and did not react at all. This was simply too difficult. Seeing this, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. If even such a powerful person could not move it at all, it would be even more impossible for them. The fatty's expression was quite unsightly. He had never thought that the celestial door would be so difficult to push. He had thought that even if he could not truly push open the celestial door, he would at least move it slightly. However, he was greatly disappointed. The fatty did not believe it and ignited his divine bloodline. An even more massive wave of power flowed out from his body, forming a powerful gale that swept out in all directions, causing everyone to feel quite afraid. His body gave off boundless red light as the celestial mark on his forehead was activated. A wave of celestial energy spread out from his body, and even though it was only a trace of celestial energy, it made the fatty much more powerful. Boom! The fatty used all of his strength to push, and a massive wave of power smashed against the celestial door, causing it to finally move slightly. However, it was just a trace. The fatty continued to push against the celestial door, but it could not be pushed open at all. The fatty's power gradually weakened, and the celestial mark on his forehead became dim. In the end, the fatty could only retract his hand and give a dispirited sigh. He returned to where he was and said to the others, "It's best that you all prepare yourselves. This celestial door is incredibly difficult to push open." The expressions of the others turned solemn. Now that they had seen it with their own eyes, they understood how difficult it was to push open the celestial gate. Seeing that the fatty had failed, the others were also disappointed. However, they were also mentally prepared. This celestial gate had only been opened by a few dozen people in 10,000 years. If it was so easy, there wouldn't be so few people who opened it. Zhao Fu's expression became serious. he found that the celestial door in front of him was indeed not simple. Not only did it require a high grade of power, but it also required a high grade of bloodline. Moreover, it required the full power of the celestial seal to open it. If he couldn't meet the three requirements, he definitely wouldn't be able to push open the immortal door. The second person to step forward was the scholarly young man. He had a serious expression as he arrived in front of the gate of immortality. He extended his hand and placed it on the gate of immortality. Boom! A loud rumbling sound rang out as an immense power surged out from the scholarly young man's body. His body shone with boundless white light, illuminating the surroundings. The immense power locked down the surrounding space. Images of books appeared around him, all of them giving off shocking power. There were many books, thousands of them. The scholarly young man used his full power right from the start. However, this was not the end. The scholarly young man opened his eyes and activated the celestial seal on his forehead. The celestial seal gave off boundless celestial light, and a powerful wave of celestial power shot out in all directions. The books in the air all had celestial runes on them and gave off celestial chi, making them seem like celestial books. They gave off an even greater aura of books, causing people's bodies to tremble and feel a boundless aura. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the scholarly young man vigorously pushed with his hand. The celestial books gave off immense power as they smashed against the celestial door, causing a massive shockwave to spread out. The massive celestial door was pushed open slightly, causing countless people to feel delighted. Finally, someone had pushed it open slightly. Perhaps the scholarly young man would really be able to open the celestial door and enter the celestial world. Immediately, everyone smiled, and their eyes were filled with anticipation. The scholarly young man's expression was serious as he pressed his hand against the celestial door and continued to push. The celestial books gave off powerful celestial energy as they smashed against the celestial door. The celestial door was pushed open slightly again, causing the scholarly young man to feel quite delighted. However, when he continued to push, he found that he could no longer push it. Boom! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the scholarly young man exploded out with all of his power. The celestial books automatically flipped open and shot out boundless celestial light. The power of the celestial books gave off world-destroying power as they smashed against the celestial door. Bang! A huge roar rang out, and a huge shock wave instantly spread out, forcing some of the people nearby to take a few steps back. However, the celestial door still did not budge at all, causing the scholarly young man's heart to feel cold. Unwilling to give up, he pressed his hand against the celestial door and continued to push. No matter how much strength he used, the celestial door still did not budge at all. In the end, the scholarly young man gave up and returned to where he was with a dim expression, not saying anything else. Everyone felt even more disappointed. They had thought that he might be able to open the celestial door, but he still could not. The celestial door was simply too difficult to open, and now there were only 3 saint geniuses left. Could they even open it? The third person to go up was the black-clothed woman. She exploded out with all of her power and pushed the celestial door a little, but she was unable to push it any further. Her expression did not change much, and she did not look very disappointed. This was because she had already prepared herself. Her power was about the same as the fatty's, and she was at most slightly stronger. If the fatty was unable to push it open even after using all of his power, she most likely would not be able to either. As such, she went up to give it a try. The fourth person to go up was the white-clothed woman. The white-clothed woman's expression was serious as she came before the celestial door. She did not have much confidence because her power was slightly weaker than the scholarly young man's. If the scholarly young man could not push it open, she could not push it open either. However, she still wanted to give it a try. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the white-clothed woman stretched out a hand and pressed it against the celestial door, exploding out with an extremely terrifying power. Her body gave off boundless celestial light and the celestial mark on her forehead also gave off a massive wave of celestial energy. Under this massive wave of power, the celestial door was once again pushed open slightly. The white-clothed woman's gaze became cold as even more power flowed out of her body, and her body gave off a blinding celestial light. The celestial door was once again pushed open slightly, but it did not move again. No matter how much the white-clothed woman pushed, it was useless. In the end, the white-clothed woman sighed and chose to give up. In the end, only the cold-looking young man was left. He was the last person not to go up, and he was the most powerful out of the 5 saint geniuses. Chapter 24:24. Everyone's gazes fell on him. He was the only person who had a chance of opening the celestial door, and he felt incredibly nervous. If even he could not do it, no one else would be able to. The cold-looking young man's expression was serious as he slowly walked in front of the celestial door. He stretched out a hand and placed it on the celestial door as he closed his eyes. Everyone's nervousness and anticipation reached a peak. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive wave of power exploded out from the cold-looking young man's body, forming a massive gale that blew out in all directions. The 4 saint-level geniuses nearby all took a few steps back. A powerful violet aura flame burst forth from his body, and the terrifying power continuously became stronger. Space twisted, causing others to see his body to become hazy, and the surroundings became quite serious. The violet aura flame continuously burned and became larger and larger until it was 10 or so meters tall. The violet aura flame continuously condensed and formed a powerful warrior with only the upper half of his body. This powerful warrior looked valiant and had a muscular body. He wore clothes and gave off a shocking aura. He looked at the celestial door and stretched out a hand and pressed it against the celestial door. At that moment, the cold-looking young man suddenly opened his eyes and vigorously pushed against the celestial door. The violet-colored warrior's hand gave off immense power as it pushed forwards. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a shock wave spread out. The celestial door was slightly pushed open, and this was much more than the 4 people from before. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as the cold-looking young man pushed towards the celestial door with his other hand. The violet-colored warrior's other hand gave off immense power as it pushed towards the celestial door. A massive wave of power slammed against the celestial door, causing it to cave in slightly. Everyone felt quite startled before revealing looks of joy. They felt that the cold-looking young man could open the celestial door. Zhao Fu and the 4 other saint-level geniuses were quite shocked at the power that the cold-looking young man gave off. The cold-looking young man pressed his hands against the celestial door and controlled the violet-colored warrior to push forwards, causing the celestial door to slowly open. However, soon, the cold-looking young man could no longer push it. The celestial door was only half open, and it was not fully open. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the cold-looking young man exploded out with all of his power. 2 massive purple aura flames surged out from his sides, and the 2 purple aura flames formed 2 purple warriors. They looked slightly different from the previous one. Both of them were very strong, but only their upper bodies were covered in clothes. One of them had a beard, while the other had a square face. The 3 purple warriors emitted a frightening pressure. Even if one was very far away, one could still feel it. A wave of fear surged in one's heart. After the 2 violet-colored warriors appeared, they pressed their hands against the celestial door and pushed it forward. 3 people with only their upper bodies appeared behind the cold-looking young man, and they pushed the celestial door together. The celestial door was once again slowly pushed open. Everyone stared at the celestial door, filled with anticipation and nervousness. Their hearts were beating very quickly. Just as the gate of immortality was about to be pushed open, it stopped and could no longer be pushed. The cold-looking young man coldly harumphed and released even more powerful violet energy, causing the violet aura flame to burn even more ferociously. The three warriors gave off even more power as they vigorously pushed the celestial door. However, the celestial door did not budge at all, causing everyone to feel quite startled. Could it be that the cold-looking young man was also unable to open the celestial door? The cold-looking young man had a serious look on his face as he controlled the three violet-colored warriors to continue pushing the celestial door, but they could not push it open at all. After thinking about it, the cold-looking young man dissipated the three violet-colored giants, which turned into countless traces of aura flames and dissipated. The terrifying aura also disappeared. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts and looked quite disappointed. Could it be that even the most powerful person, the cold-looking young man, could not open the celestial door? Boom! Suddenly, a shocking explosion sounded out as a power that surpassed the world exploded out from the cold-looking young man's body. It formed an explosion that spread out like a ball, and everyone around him was forced back a few steps. The cold-looking young man's eyes gave off an intense violet light, and the celestial mark on his forehead also gave off boundless celestial light. The aura that he gave off was incredibly dangerous and terrifying, causing everyone to feel despair. Suddenly, a figure shot out from his body to the right of the cold-looking young man. The figure unleashed a few palm techniques, and the figure became blurry as it gave off a powerful aura. Following this, another figure shot out from the left of the cold-looking young man and unleashed a few more palm techniques. The aura that they gave off was quite powerful, and the figure also became blurry. Following this, more and more illusory figures appeared. In the end, there were 100 or so illusory figures beside the cold-looking young man, continuously unleashing all sorts of palm techniques, and an indescribably terrifying aura spread out. The cold-looking young man's expression became incredibly serious, and he pushed out with all of his strength, causing the countless illusory figures around him to also rush forward. Boom! A deafening explosion rang out as an extremely terrifying power collided with the celestial gate. A shockwave spread out with the power of a thunderbolt, tearing the space apart. Many people were sent flying and blood flowed from their mouths. Everyone was affected by the shockwave and looked quite wretched. Suddenly, a massive sound rang out through the entire sky. Everyone looked quite confused as they looked ahead, and their expressions slowly became one of excitement and agitation. This was because the celestial door was slowly opening. Countless rainbow-colored celestial light shot out from within, and countless traces of pure, celestial chi flowed out. A power that surpassed all things in the world and surpassed life and death slowly spread out, covering the surroundings. In front of this power, countless people felt incredibly small, as if they were facing the boundless heavenly Tao. They felt incredibly powerless and lowly. The celestial door gradually opened, and the celestial light it gave off became stronger and stronger, and more celestial chi flowed out. In the end, the celestial door completely opened, and boundless celestial light shot out, covering the surroundings. Countless traces of celestial chi flowed out, and everyone nearby felt a wave of power flow into their bodies, making them feel more spirited and powerful. At the same time, the celestial door gave off a terrifying aura that completely surpassed this world. Everyone felt incredibly small and lowly, and in front of this door they felt like they were like ants. The celestial door shined with celestial light. It was difficult to see what was inside. A figure slowly appeared at the center of the door. This blurry figure seemed to be a powerful-looking man, and his body gave off terrifying power. It was as if space itself could not withstand his descent, and it seemed as if he could destroy an entire world with just a wave of his hand. Everything seemed incredibly lowly in front of him. Chapter 24-25. The power this figure had was many times more terrifying than ordinary celestials, because ordinary celestials couldn't descend by themselves. Countless people looked at that figure in shock. They didn't expect such an untouchable, unimaginable, and unstoppable existence to appear. Zhao Fu looked quite shocked as he watched the celestial door open and such a powerful celestial appearing. The great void ancestor was inside the three-soul jade flute. His expression was very serious, and he didn't reveal any emotions. Such a powerful existence was beyond what he could accept. After the figure appeared, his gaze landed on the cold-looking young man in front of the celestial gate. It was as if he could see through the cold-looking young man. The cold-looking young man was also very shocked and bowed. "Greetings, Senior." Although the cold-looking young man's identity and bloodline were very powerful, he couldn't compare to someone of this level. The figure chuckled and gave off a heavenly might. "You're not bad. You're qualified to be a core disciple of the immortal Tao sect. Now, follow me to the celestial world." The cold-looking young man couldn't help but feel happy and smile. This was something that countless people dreamed of and something that countless people couldn't do. However, he was very excited about it. The cold-looking young man nodded and walked toward the celestial gate. The four holy ranked geniuses looked at him with envy. In the future, when the cold-looking young man stepped into the celestial world, he would be cut off from them, and they would belong to two different worlds. They would have to work hard to become celestials and ascend to the celestial world. It would be easier for the cold-looking young man to become a celestial in the celestial world. He might even be able to break through and become even more powerful than ordinary celestials. In the future, the cold-looking young man's name would shake the half-celestial world. Countless people would know that he had opened the celestial gate and entered the celestial world. The scholarly young man couldn't help but bow. "Senior, I think my talent is not bad. I wonder if Senior can take me to the celestial world? In the future, I will cultivate with all my might and won't disappoint Senior." In the past, whoever opened the celestial gate was qualified to enter. Those who couldn't open the celestial gate were not qualified. But now it was different. An expert, even more terrifying than celestials, had appeared. Perhaps he could enter the celestial gate through his own recommendation. The other three saints also bowed and said respectfully, "Senior, we also want to go to the celestial world. Our talents are not bad, and we will definitely cultivate hard in the future. We will not disappoint you." Everyone looked up to these people, people of high status and terrifying power, people they did not dare to offend. But now, they disregarded their image and humbly begged that expert to take them to the immortal world. However, none of them were disgusted by this behavior, because if it was them, they would do anything as long as they could enter the immortal world. The benefits of entering the immortal world were beyond their imagination. It was a great opportunity. Everyone wanted to enter, unless they were fools. When the shadow heard their words, he glanced at them and seemed to be in a good mood. "The few of you are a bit lacking, but you can still be an inner disciple. Today I am in a good mood. You guys will follow me to the immortal world." The four of them were delighted. They didn't think that they would be able to enter the immortal world just like that. Moreover, they didn't even open the celestial gate. They were so lucky to meet such a good-tempered celestial. The cold-looking young man was speechless. He had used so much strength to open the celestial gate, but the four of them could enter without opening the celestial gate. He was just wasting his strength. However, he was a core disciple and was valued more than them. Moreover, they came from the same place, so they would take care of him. Everyone was shocked. They didn't think that this would really work. They bowed respectfully, and some even knelt on the ground and begged, "Senior, we also want to enter the immortal world. We will do anything you want us to do." The shadow laughed loudly. "You people haven't even obtained the celestial seal and don't even have the right to open the celestial gate. You still want to enter the immortal world?" Everyone was disappointed. It was obvious that this strong person wouldn't bring them to the immortal world. Some of the saints didn't give up and begged, "Sir, please, let me enter the immortal world. I'm willing to do anything, even if I'm just your slave. I will definitely do my best." The shadow looked at these people and said condescendingly, "You are all people with the most noble bloodlines in the lower realm, yet you act so lowly. How disgusting." This caused the saints who were kneeling to turn pale. Not only did they not enter the immortal world, but they were also hated by this terrifying expert. If he wanted to kill them, no one would be able to stop him. Now, they regretted it and knelt on the ground, not daring to move at all. Just as the illusory figure was about to retract his gaze and lead them to the immortal world, he suddenly saw a cloaked youth out of the corner of his eyes. He was startled and then said in shock, "Kid, who are you?" Seeing this terrifying expert suddenly become so shocked, everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of person could cause such an expert to be so shocked? Following the expert's gaze, they saw a black-cloaked young man standing there. Seeing this person, everyone couldn't help but feel shocked. Even though they knew that Zhao Fu's identity was terrifying, they didn't think that his identity would cause an expert above the immortal level to be shocked. What was his identity? Everyone's gazes fell on Zhao Fu's body. The 5 Saint Grade geniuses also looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. Hearing this expert's words, Zhao Fu thought about it and obediently bowed as he said, "Reporting to Senior, I'm just an ordinary person from the lower realm." The shadow could not help but loudly laugh. "Ha ha, ordinary person? Do you really think I'm so easy to trick? With your talent, let alone the lower realm, even in the immortal world, you'll be able to shake everyone. Tell me honestly, are you from faction in the immortal world?" Hearing this, waves crashed in everyone's hearts. They had indeed underestimated how terrifying Zhao Fu was. They had never thought that he would be someone who could shake the immortal world. He was far more terrifying than they had expected. The 5 Saint Grade geniuses looked at Zhao Fu in shock. They had never thought that there would be such a huge difference between them and Zhao Fu. Even though Zhao Fu was the ruler of a small kingdom, to an expert like the image, he was just like an ordinary person. As such, he continued to respectfully say, "I am indeed an ordinary person." The shadow looked quite surprised. He did not find that Zhao Fu was lying. How could an ordinary person have such terrifying talent? This was almost impossible, and the shadow could not understand it. Chapter 24-26. After a while, the figure looked at Zhao Fu and smiled. "I don't care what your identity is. Whether or not you are willing to follow me to the celestial realm, I will accept you as my direct disciple. Perhaps you will be able to control the celestial Tao sect in the future." Countless people felt as if their minds were about to explode. One side went blank, and their bodies instinctively trembled. Top point first of all, the 5 geniuses had to go through a trial and obtain a celestial seal before they were qualified to enter the celestial realm. Many people could not enter even if they begged on their knees. But now, this expert actually took the initiative to ask Zhao Fu to follow him to the celestial world. How could this still be compared? It could almost infuriate people to death. But what shocked them even more was that this expert wanted to take Zhao Fu as his personal disciple. In other words, he wanted to make Zhao Fu his master. This was something that countless people could only dream of. But what shocked them even more was the last sentence. Perhaps the reason Zhao Fu could control the celestial Tao sect was because he had become the leader of a superpower in the celestial world. This was something that ordinary celestials wouldn't even dare to think about. This matter was too shocking. Old Master Taishu looked at Zhao Fu in shock. He thought to himself, "Did I underestimate him?" Facing the countless gazes, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm sorry. Senior, I don't want to head to the immortal world." Huh. The surroundings were in an uproar as they looked at each other. They didn't expect that Zhao Fu would refuse such a shocking good thing. If it was them, they would definitely agree without thinking, but why did he refuse? No one could figure out. The 5 martial sages were confused. They couldn't figure out why Zhao Fu would want to gather here. After all, no one could refuse such an invitation. The Phantom was a bit surprised and asked, "Why? You should know how powerful I am. The immortal Tao sect is a very powerful force in the celestial world." Zhao Fu smiled apologetically and said, "I know Senior is very powerful and is someone I need to look up to. I also understand how powerful the celestial Tao sect is, but I have things I care about and people I care about, so I can't follow you to the celestial realm." Everyone was still puzzled when they heard this. What was more important than entering the celestial world? If it were them, they would definitely abandon everything and enter the immortal world. The illusory figure smiled and said, "It's not up to you now. Since I've seen a peerless genius like you, I'll definitely bring you back." Zhao Fu's expression changed. Just as he was about to leave, the mysterious man's gaze fell upon Zhao Fu's body. An invisible power locked Zhao Fu's body, making it impossible for him to move. Zhao Fu felt quite afraid and had never thought that something like this would happen. He hurriedly asked Emperor Shi, an old ancestor Great Void, "Do you have any ways to escape?" She shook her head bitterly. In the face of an existence of this level, she had no power to resist. Old ancestor Great Void looked helpless. If it was an immortal level expert, he might have been able to help Zhao Fu. But the other party was far scarier than an immortal level expert. He had no way of escaping. However, he had no objections to this matter. If he could follow Zhao Fu into such a superpower, not only would he be able to recover his strength quickly, but he would also be able to easily become an immortal. There were all sorts of benefits. He even wanted to persuade Zhao Fu to go to the celestial world. The mortal world was not important anymore. The main thing was that if he became the leader of a superpower, what would he have? The illusory figure smiled and said, "Don't worry, follow me to the celestial world. I won't mistreat you. In the future, when you become the leader of the celestial Tao sect, you will thank me." As the illusory figure spoke, he stretched out a hand and countless strands of celestial qi surged out, grabbing toward Zhao Fu. Everyone was filled with envy and jealousy. It was as if they would also be caught by such an expert and brought to the celestial world. Looking at the incoming celestial qi, Zhao Fu's expression became unsightly. He did not hesitate to enter 10,000 God mode. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out, and a godly power that surpassed the heavens and earth exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. The space seemed to freeze as if it had been locked down by this godly power. Zhao Fu's hair gave off a rainbow light and gradually became transparent like crystal. An ancient mirror appeared on his forehead, and his black cloak seemed to be dyed by light, turning into a holy white cloak, and his body gave off a rainbow light. Everyone's expressions fell, and they felt as if they had fallen into an icy cavern. Countless traces of coldness entered their bodies, and they felt immense terror as their bodies violently trembled. This person is quite terrifying. Even though everyone felt that Zhao Fu had exploded out with terrifying godly power, he could not break free from that sealing power. The illusory figure said in delight, "Such shocking supreme godly power is rare even in the celestial world." The illusory figure grabbed forwards, and the celestial qi became even more ferocious, forming a massive hand that seemed to be able to control the world. Looking at the massive hand, Zhao Fu thought about it and decided that he could only release the full power of his 7 Emperor stars to see if he could escape. If he could not escape, there would be no hope. Old ancestor Great Void said, "Don't waste your energy. I've thought about this before, but you're too weak and cannot unleash the supreme Emperor Star's power. Moreover, this will be of great benefit to you, as the Emperor Stars will not be able to resist much." Hearing this, Zhao Fu's heart became cold. Was he going to be taken to the celestial world and cut off all ties with Qin? Zhao Fu thought about the Qin Empire he had established and about the people he was familiar with. Li Si by Qi, Meng Tian, Gania, Wu Qingyang, Nu Lu, the Flower Fairy, Wang Ergu, the 8 aquatic beast kings. Zhao Fu felt quite unwilling and did not want to go to the celestial world like this. His Qin Empire had not become a true empire yet, and he did not want to give up on those people he was familiar with. However, Zhao Fu did not want to, nor did he have the power to resist. The massive hand gave off a massive aura and was about to grab Zhao Fu's body. Suddenly, within the heaven-awakened world, a pair of indescribably terrifying eyes opened, piercing through the void and landing on Zhao Fu's body. The massive hand formed from celestial qi instantly collapsed into countless traces of celestial qi and dissipated. The illusory figure's expression fell as he looked towards the heaven-awakened world. The power binding Zhao Fu instantly disappeared, and Zhao Fu felt delighted. He did not hesitate to explode out with all of his power and quickly flew away, disappearing over the horizon. The pair of eyes in the heaven-awakened world looked away and disappeared. The illusory figure could not help but lightly laugh. I knew that boy's identity was not simple, so he had such a great background. The people in the surroundings looked quite confused, not understanding what had just happened. Why had that celestial hand suddenly collapsed? And how had that person broken free and escaped? They did not dare to say anything, as they were afraid of offending that terrifying expert. Perhaps he would take his anger out on them. The 5 divine court geniuses nervously waited there and did not say anything. The illusory figure looked at the 5 of them and smiled as he said, "Hurry up and come in. I have some things to take care of." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.